Mm. Hey, folks, we just gonna start because I ain't about to be up here all night waiting for this show to end. This show been on all night. Can you guys hear me? And just make sure my sound is good. Let me know if I need to turn my mic up. All right, this is the late night special. Y'all know I don't normally do this, but we gonna do this tonight. All right. How's my sound? Is my sound good? I'm just gonna assume y'all can hear me. Let me cut this piece off real quick. All right, let me get a few quick little what's ups and shout outs in, and we're gonna just jump right into this. I don't expect there to be a whole lot of folks because it's really like midnight on the East Coast. So anyway, we're literally gonna start this in exactly like 1 minute. But what up, Raywin? What up, Cartoon Lover? By the way, shout out to you. You always support my podcast super heavy. What up, Brown Sugar? Aisha No Curry, JBG, Alan Lewis, what up, what up, what up? Sam J, Poison Ivy, what's up? Okay, thank you, Megan. They said they can hear me. Okay, I'm gonna just jump right into it because I'm tired. Look, when I made the post, I was like, I made the post saying, we just gonna do it live because it was still about 10 o'clock. I was like, yeah, I still had some 10 o'clock energy. So I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it live because I don't feel like editing a video tonight. So let's just do it live. And man, I think 5 minutes ago they were still performing and MC Light was talking about more to come. I said, well, this is about 11:50 now. Okay. Like y'all be trying to talk about celebrating 50 years. Just understand the demographic that wants to celebrate that 50 years got to go to work in the morning. So anyway, by the way, this is not going to be like a normal live. I do have a live plan for this week. So just know I'm not going to be talking about nothing heavy on this one. I'm specifically talking about this award show and taking my behind the bed. I will save all the good stuff that I want to talk about for the next live that's later this week. Also, my book club, what I'm going to do, we're supposed to have a session Monday. I'm going to pause and push it to next Monday only because I did not announce it in enough time for people to be ready for it, and I don't want to set people up. So the book club, I'm going to push to Monday the 3rd, all right? And then, again, that's for the Phyllis Hyman book. It's for the last 2 chapters, 17 and 18, and the closer of the book. All right, so let's talk about these BET Awards. Now, if you follow me, the BET Awards at one point in time was one of my favorite award shows to review and to watch. I always say BET Awards, Soul Train Awards are my 2 favorites. Those have always been my 2 faves. Over the years, it shifted a bit more towards the Soul Train Awards just because I'm an R&B head, okay? I like to hear some singing. I want to hear some melody. I like to hear medleys of the songs mixed together. Like, I want all of that. So I just think with Soul Train Awards, you get this really great musicality. Thank you, Black Marvel. He said BT really screwed the Legends tribute again. I don't even blame Patti. We'll get to that. So yeah, those have always been my 2, but over the years, BET's kind of just fallen a little bit in my book. So I was kind of hyped to see what they were going to do this year. But understand it's kind of a very awkward predicament because we know we have the writer's strike that's been going on. I think they're on day 56, 57. Not sure which day they're on, but I know at one point when they had the last really major writer strike, it lasted for like 100 days. And so I understood, like, with the writer strike being there were going to be some corners that were cut and there were going to be some things that were shifted. And sorry, I got some noise outside. Actually, let me just close this door right here. These neighbors. All right. Slide these, close these. All right. But with that being said, I understand they're going to have to cut some corners. And it is kind of, it may be irrational because I know a lot of folks are like, why don't they just push it back? And I'm kind of on that same conversation too, as far as pushing it back, but I understand they already have the millions or whatever invested in, so it is very hard to push an award show back and so on and so forth, I guess. I just think if you want to really push and market the idea of celebrating 50 years of hip hop, and understand when you're talking about hip hop, whether you like it or not, whether you're a throwback old school head and you hate all the new stuff or vice versa, understand that it is amazing to see what hip hop has been able to do in the last 50 years and how it has become a global phenomenon to the point where no matter what culture you come from, you cannot escape hip hop. Whether you're in Southeast Asia, they love it over there. Whether you're in Central America, whatever part of the world you go to, hip hop is inevitable. It is there. It is everywhere. And so it's amazing to see that, something that came out of pretty much a Black culture within New York can grow to something so massive and become just this worldwide phenomenon. So I feel like if you're trying to give just due to something that has been able to pretty much transform the industry. Because again, understand, one of the biggest genres of music of the 2000s and the 2010s was hip hop. You know what I mean? It got to a point where it bypassed pop, it bypassed R&B commercially, it bypassed country, it bypassed rock. Where you're talking about what's been happening in modern times. And so, again, to give them the flowers that were due, I think sometimes you can't get in a space where you settle and just let things be just because it is the way it is. Now, here's my idea, what I think they should have done, because I will give BET kudos for the fact that they were able to get all the people in the building. There was a ton of folks there, which I thought was dope, because one of the other critiques has been a lot of times people don't show up, right? They don't show up to BET Awards, or they don't show up to the Soul Train Awards. Then they be pissed off because the Grammys ignore them, or the AMAs don't give them any acknowledgement, but they're too big for the black shows, right? And so I give them kudos for at least getting all these people in the building. But I think if it were me, okay, and listen, I'm just a viewer watching, I think there should have been either two approaches to this, because I just don't think you could have squeezed this into the BET Awards, because it's just like there's too much to cover. So either one, secondly, you already have the BET Hip Hop Awards. I don't know why they just didn't focus on that for the Hip Hop Awards and just do the BET Awards however they were going to do it, or whatever. I think they should have either done two things. One, just had a specific special aimed at, honoring hip hop, going that way. That way you can be a bit more inclusive to a lot of the acts, because it's hard to feature everybody, right? But I think with that, the challenge is that might be something that is cumbersome, and for some viewers who have short attention spans, they may not want to sit through a very, very long special. Because to be honest, though this was the BET Awards, it pretty much was just the full hip hop tribute. There wasn't that much emphasis on passing out awards. And other than Coco Jones and the Tina Turner tribute, there weren't any other performers that weren't hip hop. But I think what could have been dope, if I were in the offices, rather than an award show or a TV special, I would have actually done a festival. And I think what would have been dope is and it doesn't even have to be like a massive, big Coachella, Made in America type thing. It could have literally been something where, okay, if we want to talk hip hop, let's go back to the roots. Let's make it like it feels like it's something that's in the neighborhood. Like it's almost, maybe not a block party, but they do it like even like a larger theater venue. It don't even got to be an arena. Like get one of them theaters that seats 7,000 or 8,000 people, like Radio City Music Hall's a little bougie feeling, but just one of them theaters. And then literally you get all of these different acts that are supposed to be there, right? And then again, because it's a smaller venue, it's exclusive. Not everybody can get in there. So just the biggest diehard fans of hip hop get up in there, have this great festival for 2 or 3 days. And this way you can invite all of these different people from all these different eras. You can have a day dedicated to the early years. So pretty much the mid 70s through about the 1984-ish, 85-ish. You can have a day dedicated specifically to the golden era of hip hop. You could have a day specifically dedicated to everything after about 98 to maybe about 05. And then you could have a fourth day from like 06 onward, right? And do it like that. And then because BET already has their own streaming platform, you could literally stream the whole thing on BET Plus later down the line. And, because literally like if you watch what they do at Essence Festival now, they have the partnership with Hulu. Essence, you can watch the entire festival on Hulu, even if you don't go, and you can actually pick which, events you want to watch. I think that would be a dope idea, like BET Plus or whatever they do. They stream all 4 or 3 days of this magical hip hop festival. And I mean, it has everybody who's somebody that's there. And you as the viewer, if you're not somebody who wants to sit through the 2022 acts, or you don't want to sit through, the 1981 acts because you were born in 2015, then you can kind of select which bits you want to see. I would just look at it that way, like doing this massive hip hop festival. You bring everybody who's somebody. That way you can finally include everybody, because the challenge with doing an award show is people get left out. And even when you feature the people, then you got to kind of rush and zip through. So even with that opening after Lil Uzi Vert, it was like those segments that they had on that side stage, which was cool because you could feature everybody. Everybody was up there for like 45 seconds. You had to go and get your half of a bar and a hook in and run on out because the next person's coming in. And then again, because there's the writer strike and there's no host, you got MC Light, right? MC Light's doing her bars. And I swear, as soon as she got off the stage, she had to run back up to the booth to finish doing the announcements. So I just feel like that could have been a dope idea. Just if you want to do right by hip hop, because you only get so many chances to do a 50-year anniversary. And because they just did something similar with the Grammys, I would have just gone a different route. You know what I mean? But like I said, I like that I got to see a whole lot of folks that we haven't seen in a while. But I think the challenge is the execution of trying to pull off something so big. That's why I think a festival, you can stretch it out more. It doesn't feel like it's rushed. The acts get a bit more time. A lot of the acts, because just think about it. Somebody like a Yo-Yo, I think Yo-Yo was up there for like 50 seconds. And is that really giving just due to a lot of the acts that, you know, are what you would call, you know, those early generations of the hip hop acts or some of the pioneers of the earlier generations. I understand there's so many and you can't give everybody 10 minutes and stuff, but it's like, man, y'all are almost zipping them through. And then some of the folks who were on the main stage, I'm like, some of them got a whole lot of time to go up there and do a whole lot of nothing. That's just kind of how I look at it. But anyway, let me get into some of the logistics of the show and some of the performers. It's still on, apparently. I turned it off. I got tired of watching. So whatever happened after the dance tribute, I missed it. I'm sorry. There's a million other YouTubers that actually do this, and this is their life. So go watch one of them because they're going to give you the scoop on everybody. I'm not sitting till 2 a.m. with whatever else they got left, because after Busta Rhymes, what else is left? Y'all did everything. But anyway, by the way, I feel like they had some of the folks at the pre-show that I would have moved to the main stage. Like when I saw Crime Mob at the pre-show, I was like, okay. So in my head, I'm like, well, if Crime Mob was at the pre-show, that must mean like Outkast and got back together. They're gonna have some big names at the big show, but it is what it is. As far as the award show, Lil Uzi Vert opened. Great stage, beautiful stage. He didn't really do nothing. I don't even think he talked to the mic, but about 2 seconds. He did a cool little 8 count here and there. I do like the song. The song's always a banger, of course. But like, you know, I don't know. For that to be opening, I just thought he was gonna go a little bit harder. You know, it was kind of like he had Scully and the mask on, and he did a little bit of choreography, but it was like, all right, we see you, because everything was there. They had the fire, they had them being lowered in. The dancers are doing their thing. He just wasn't really doing much. I just feel like if it's going to be the opener, go for it. But I guess he had other stuff on his mind, because apparently him and JT was having some kind of disagreement during the show. So, you know, there's that. Now I got an eyelash in my eye, so that's going to be fun to fight through while we do this video. I can't stand having long lashes, man. It's so annoying. So, yeah, and it was weird because as soon as Lil Uzi Vert gets off the stage, this is what I'm talking about. I feel like they start rushing the other people. So then they jump to, I guess you call it the secondary stage, which is going to feature all of the people that are going to be part of this celebration of hip hop. So you bring out Sugar Hill Gang. Okay, so Sugar Hill Gang comes out. And I feel like for that segment, if that was supposed to be the segment to honor the early pioneers, because it was like Sugar Hill Gang, MC Lyte, which in my opinion, they're not even the same era of hip hop. You know, I would have had This Is Me. I feel like for that earlier era, you should have definitely had like a Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Caz, Grandmaster Flash, all of them, like those kind of folks in that early mix. You know what I mean? Because MC Lyte's a little bit later, but it's fine. Who else? And then they had like D Nice and then Big Daddy Kane. I was like, y'all are really mixing the eras up here. And then Biz Markie. So I was like, we jumped from like 1979, 80 to like 91 in the same segment. You know, speaking of, since Big Daddy Kane was there and Patti LaBelle was there, this is just the R&B head in me jumping out. It would have been kind of dope if Patti would have had it feels like another one just because. Remember when Patti had her New Jack Swing song off the Burning album with Big Daddy Kane on it? That's when all of the seasoned aunties of R&B, the people our mamas played when we had to clean the house, you know, the Patties and Aretha and Gladys and all of them. All of them were having the New Jack Swing bop. So, you know, Gladys had Meet Me in the Middle. You know, but Aretha, what she had? Work It. What you see is what you sweat. That wasn't really New Jack Swing, but whatever. So yeah, that part was cool as far as the segment with Sugar Hill Gang, MC Lyte, D Nice, Big Daddy Kane. It was cool. It just felt a little rushed and thrown together a bit, because after a while you get over the excitement of seeing these people and now you want to be like fully entertained. All right, I'm gonna pause for 1 second to read some comments and then we're gonna keep it going. All right. If I don't get to y'all, I am sorry. It is 12:07 in the morning. We're not going to be here for 3 hours like we normally do. All right. Oh, somebody said the crowd was dead. That was the other thing. I'm glad somebody brought that up. I would have mixed the crowd up some. I think you had too much of one generation in the crowd, so they couldn't really appreciate a lot of the seasoned acts because they didn't know who they were. Right. And on top of that, I was like, this is the weirdest crowd, because I'm not going to lie. When E40 came out and did Tell Me When to Go. Now, as somebody who was from the West Coast, I ain't even from Cali, okay? I was from Washington State. Y'all laugh at us so much. But listen, when Tell Me When to Go came out, that the whole West Coast, from Alaska down and across to Hawaii, went hard for that song. So I just knew when Tell Me When to Go came on, the crowd was going to be hyped. And they were just, you know, this is cool. I was like, what kind of... Okay, none of them must be from LA or from the Bay. I'm confused what's going on here. But all right. Yeah, I guess. All right. Let me see. Y'all are lighting up Patti. Give me a minute. We gonna get to Patti, and not too much on Patti. Somebody said didn't even realize it was this weekend. It wasn't really promoted until like a week ago, to be honest. And as far as the award show, I don't think the award show was bad. I just think it was there. I think I saw the vision of what they wanted to do. I just think, again, the execution of trying to pull off something so big, on top of the fact that you have the writer's strike, so you have a lot of people who are not going to be in a position to support and, give the consulting that needs to happen with the show. There's a lot of things that work against the show, but the overall idea of what they wanted to do, I fully support and thought was a great idea. But I just think because it was going to be something so large scale, I would have just had a different approach with it. That's me. Let me see. All right, I'm going to keep going, and then once I get through the next segment, then we will get to some more of it. Okay, so yeah, like I said, the crowd was a little dry. They got on my nerves. Happy for Coco Jones. Good for her to win her award. I like her. I like that she is a singer that uses her chest voice, because y'all know y'all love to go up for the humming refrigerator singers, and it's nothing against them, but after a while, I just feel like the challenge, or what I don't like about music right now, is the industry doesn't allow this is not social media. And when I say the industry, I'm talking about like the people in charge that decide what they're going to put out, what they're going to push. It's almost, and even radio, it's almost like they only allow one trend at a time to exist. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's such a disconnect, because that element of variety is no longer there. I think also, again, even this is a bigger conversation, because music is no longer as regional, that element of connectivity with a lot of artists has shifted. I think one of the things that also made hip hop so great, especially before about 05, 06, was things were a lot more regional. Everything's very universal now because you have social media, you have YouTube, our radio playlists are nationally syndicated, so everybody's hearing the same thing. And so a lot of times that element of that culture that's created in different regions and different cities kind of gets watered down because it's accessible to everybody. One of my favorite things about childhood was like, if you're a kid that was Black and grew up on the West Coast, or sometimes even the Midwest, you always knew in the summers your family sent you to the South to go stay with your grandma and your cousins and everything like that. So I'd always go to Savannah or Atlanta in the summers, and that was always cool because then I could get to hear what they were doing in Atlanta musically and everything like that. Or sometimes we'd go to Oakland or Richmond or Vallejo for the summer, and so I hear what's happening in the Bay. Then I come back to Seattle or Spanaway, and like, oh, this is what they're doing over here. Like, that doesn't really exist in the same realm because everything is just accessible now. So there's not that same element of connecting to the music, because a lot of people don't feel like they're a part of it. I think when stuff was still regional, it felt like this is somebody from your neighborhood, or this is something that represents your area. Like, even living here in DC, even with Go-Go, like, you barely hear it on the radio anymore, which when I first moved here, like in 2006, Go-Go was still big, but it was like you heard it on all the radio stations. The Go-Go Awards were like a big thing. And Go-Go is still heavily present in the city, but you definitely see, as far as like radio and the higher powers that be, you see them not pushing it out, but, kind of putting it to the side in favor of things that are a bit more commercial that technically wouldn't have even really been something popular in DC 20 plus years ago. So yeah, there's that. As far as, then Lotto performed. Lotto, use your microphone. I like the staging and the visuals and the colors and the dance, and I'll give her that. But I was like, if you're gonna lip sync and pre-record, then you gotta move the mouth to go with the backing track. She just said, forget this. I'm gonna just go ahead and dance for y'all real quick, and I'll remember that I'm rapping at some point. But I like that she does put effort into the performances, and she's just not standing there. I've always said one of my critiques with a lot of rappers sometimes is that a lot of them go on stage and do the bare minimum, and it drives me crazy sometimes. I'm just all about, because you already don't have to sing, right? You don't have to worry about being in key. You don't have to worry about pitch. At least if you're going to go on stage and rap, do something. You don't got to dance. You ain't got to spin on your head or nothing like that. But at least, in my opinion, do something that keeps people engaged and entertained. So for Lotto, I will give her the credit for the idea of having like the wardrobe change and the reveals and the dancers do this part and the staging and all that. All that's cool with me. It was just like, use the mic, right? Just don't forget, you went and pre-recorded the vocals so it would have a better sound for the live performance. But now you got to actually complete the part. We can hear it, but we don't see the mouth moving. It just looks weird, okay? Just saying. But I did think she had a pretty fun performance for what it was. And like I said, I like the staging. They did another portion. This was kind of, I guess, this was the West Coast portion. So they have like the tribute to Tupac. They have Warren G come out, do Regulate. Then it made me sad because then you remember Nate Dogg is gone. Nate Dogg, the king of hooks. And then, like I said, they had Yo-Yo come out, and she was out there for like 10 seconds. My favorite Yo-Yo song was Black Pearl, but it's cool. I knew they weren't gonna do that one. Then they brought Tyga out, and this is what I was talking about. Like generationally, it was weird how they would mix different folks. First of all, I wouldn't have had Tyga there anyway. Tyga could have stayed home. Sorry. All right. Plus, I don't care. Something never set right with me once him and Kylie had that relationship, and she was still a kid and he was grown, and they came out with that song talking about she's a big girl now. I never looked at him the same after that. So Tyga does nothing for me. I wouldn't made me a snack. But yeah, so he went, and then again, like I said, Tell Me When to Go came on E40. So this is when I just knew it was gonna be hype, and the crowd was still dead. Folks was texting, and that's why even during the earlier segment with the pioneered portion where they panned the Ice Spice and she's like on her phone texting during the Biz Markie tribute. I'm like, all right. Generational differences. It is what it is. Let me see what else we wrote here. Also, kudos to Tiana Taylor. I thought it was dope that she won her award. I like that she's kind of, I like that she's hopping on the idea and kind of owning the idea that she's a really great creative visual artist, and the idea of like doing more directing and helping do the staging for other folks. I know she had been working with Summer Walker and, helping Summer Walker kind of enhance her stage show, because as great as Summer's music is, sometimes she can go on stage and give you the bare minimum. She likes to give you, her quiet storm energy on the stage. And it's like, the music is already quiet storm-ish. We're going to need you to spruce it up just a bit. So it's dope that they're working together. I thought it was kind of funny that the mom was like, we just going to FaceTime her. But what I wanted to say, because you know how the sound, her sound kept going out. I wanted to tell the mom, like, you got to mute your mic. Like, you mute your mic, and then Tiana's sound's going to come in real good after that. But so that was dope. Let me see. DeVito performed. It was cool. I'm not that big into DeVito, but I did like the performance for what it was. Again, I appreciate the fact that in modern times, people are putting more effort into the staging, where it's not just them just going on stage doing anything. They try to have themes and stuff now. So even with the dancers sometimes are color coordinated. They build sets. They do a little bit of everything. So I appreciate that part. Now this is where I had beef. They had, what was it, Lola Brooks, the one rapper. She's like very petite. I would have let her just do her whole set, because to be honest, I was the most entertained by her at that moment when she went on. But they went straight to commercial doing her set. And it's funny because I feel like the dancer world is so small, because I was watching, I was like, wait, I know one of those dancers. One of the dancers, her name is Aaliyah. I was like, oh, I know her. I was like, oh, she teaches in Brooklyn. I was like, okay. And I know she dances with Lil' Kim and a few other folks. So I was like, okay. And then I think during it was during Dochi's, the guy Denzel, I know he dances for Janet, and he's danced for was it Dochi? He danced for everybody. I was like, it's funny, all the dancers, they know how to keep some work going. I was like, Janet just got off tour like last week. He's already booking other shows, so that's cool. Then they had, oh Lord, whatchamacallit, the Migos portion was really sad. They had, the tribute to Takeoff. It's awkward to only see two of them on stage. That was like, I don't know. It's sad because you've seen so many people just kind of die or be killed off for a lot of really silly things, right? Lots of ego, lots of dumb reasons why people are kind of being taken away from us. And so it was kind of sad to see, just the two on the stage. It reminded me of the 2002 VMAs when they brought out TLC, and that was like their first appearance after Left Eye Died, and it was just the two of them on the stage. It was kind of that same energy. It was kind of sad, but I'm glad Quavo and Offset are at least in a space where they can be cordial again, right? Sometimes whatever beef or drama you have, sometimes you got to just brush that stuff off if it's not that deep. But that's sad. And I hope it kind of goes to show for folks like, man, like you never know how much time you're giving on this earth, and you never know how much time you're giving with other people. And so sometimes, just kind of moving in a way where, you're not jeopardizing the livelihood of people around you by doing a bunch of crazy things or letting your ego get in the way. Or, it's kind of like you got that friend that has the road rage. You be driving and I don't know, they want to honk your horn because the car in front of you is going too slow. I'm like, don't listen, I'm driving. Relax, okay? Because if they crazy and come out and start shooting, I'm going to be mad if I'm blinking from one eye because I only got one left. Like, relax. I'm going to pause for a second, read some comments, and then we will keep it going. I'm trying to be as diplomatic here because I'm really trying to not light these artists up as much as I would like to. Let me see. If I miss your comments, please forgive me. Okay, California Girl 3507 said, being a California native, I was not fully satisfied with the West Coast part. I knew Dr. Dre wouldn't show up, but Snoop, Ice Cube, Lady Rage. Yeah, so that's my thing. Like, it goes back to what I was saying, where because it's an award, so they're only going to put so many people in the set. But I just feel like even those sets aren't even well calibrated and well oiled. You just got folks from different eras that don't even match, which is what I was like, I guess. That's why I kind of just think like the festival idea would be really, really dope. Because you can, when it's a festival, you can really get everybody in there. You know what I mean? As opposed to just a 3-hour show where you're trying to squeeze 50 years of magic and history into 3 hours. But you can do it in a 4-day festival. You can get everybody in there. You know what I mean? Simone T said, not you casually flexing your lashes. Y'all can have these things. I can't stand them. I'd be like, as soon as the wind blows, them things curl over and stab me back in the face. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Y'all said, let me see. DJ Quick never gets his just due. I agree. Nathan Moore said seat fillers. I know there's seat fillers, but listen, I've been a seat filler too. I used to always go to BET Honors, and I'm sorry, when we were lit when I went to the award shows, like, man, as soon as they look, everybody to your feet, I'd be the first one up. Especially what year was that? Because I went to BET Honors from 2010 to like 2016. One of those years, it was this one year, it was Stevie Wonder, and he was doing Living for the City, but he was playing the drums instead of doing the piano. And actually, no. It was like he had a bunch of videos. So one video was him playing the drums, one was him on like an organ, and he was playing like all the instruments. That crap was dope. Everybody was up. When they did like the Natalie Cole tribute, they had Lettucey come up there and saying like this will be like the crowd was just always lit. So I don't know what's going on with these seat fillers. All of them trying to be getting their Instagram shots and stuff. I'm like, y'all ain't no fun, y'all. I don't like that era of folks like just trying to just vibe all day. Like it's a party. Like just like I said, Kim Parker on the Parkers, it's supposed to be a party. It's a party. So we need a party. Like y'all being too cute for me. I don't be liking that. Like I'd be pissed off if I was a performer and everybody just sitting there. Like everybody get out. I'm going home. Like we're done. We're done. All right. Somebody said they don't want heavier voices. Well, a lot of the folks ain't got them no more. Let's see. Y'all said somebody said Lotto was lackluster. Somebody said she was doing too much dancing. I don't mind the dancing, but I feel like you don't have to be a dancer to give a good performance too, though. So I feel like for a rapper, I don't need you to be up here trying to do no Janet Jackson, Sierra, Tinashe, Maya choreography. You don't got to do all that. You can just do a little cute little something to keep it moving. Y'all can say what you want about Lil' Kim, but back in the day, you know, Kim I always thought was fun to watch. Like she'd do a little something here and there, but she was always really high energy. Like any Lil' Kim performance from before like 06 and back, you know, those were always really cool to watch. She knew how to really work a crowd. Let me see. All right, I'm going to keep going because I want to get through all of the performers and then I'll really dig through this chat. Dangerous Curve said, sadly, I feel like the Grammy tribute was better. Glad Kid and Play got to perform. And look, they had Kid and Play come out about midnight. Now, listen, you know all the season acts be going to bed early. You're going to have them coming out at midnight trying to still dance. I said, y'all are setting this up. You should have had all of them come out early when they still had energy because poor Kid looked tired. Kid was up there like, all right, let me keep going. Where was I at here? Okay. Now I will say that female hip hop category, I at least like the fact that there was some competition in it because that was a good category because I didn't know who they were going to choose out of that because that was Cardi B, Coi Leray, Glorilla, Ice Spice, Lotto, Nicki Minaj, Meg Thee Stallion. I was like, that's a good little mix of nominees. That's some good competition there. Lotto actually won. I don't follow honestly any of them like that hard enough to have wanted a winner because I don't have any of their albums, but I do like all of what they present. They all bring something a little different to the table. Trick Daddy and Trina performed. Again, it was kind of like the rush out. You know, they got them in and out, and then rush right to Uncle Luke. And so it was kind of like it just zipping right through. So that portion was all right. And they had Chief Keef come out, Ying Yang Twins. Now, Ying Yang Twins got a little bit more time with their set. So I was like, okay. They had Doechie's performance. Doechie was all right. I enjoyed Doechie. She always gives a really good performance. Didn't she do that? Doechie was last year too, right? and she had the cornrows, like she had the wig thing. She took it off and she had the cornrows. I think that was her. I think that was a performance I liked. But I ain't gonna lie, my favorite out of that set was Trillville because that just took me back to my teenage years. So that was a lot of fun. Jeezy performed. They had T.I., which was cool. As much as T.I. get on my nerves, that 03 to about 08, 09 run was a good run for him. Master P performed, brought out all the No Limit Soldiers. That I always enjoy that era because that reminds me of when I moved back to the United States from Europe. Like that was like they were like everywhere when I got back, so that was really cool. Eric Sermon performed, and it was crazy because I remember that song with the Marvin Gaye sample. I remember VH1 Soul used to play that song so much. Like it was like every day. Remember like before it was BET Soul, it was VH1 Soul. Like man, they used to play that video every day, multiple times a day. Keith Murray performed, which was dope to see him. I ain't seen him since forever. Redman, another one. Okay, I think I'm gonna get tickets to this Wu-Tang tour. I think they come to DC in September. I might get tickets. That's gonna be a dope show. They had Dougie Fresh come out. And then, okay, this is how I was like, all right, you're getting old. When they started doing like the dance hall and the reggae portion, when they had Vicious do Freaks. And I don't know why I was thinking it was going to still be a kid coming out. I was like, wait a minute, he has to grow up. So again, while he's doing Freaks, he's like an adult now. So the voice was different. I was like, oh yeah, well, duh, the song is like 20, 30 years old. So, okay. And Mad Lion come out. Patra was my favorite out of that because I did like Patra when I was little. I remember when I was younger, we couldn't watch the Pull Up to the Bumper video when that came on. We had to turn it off because my parents were like, you're not watching that. Turn it off. Glorilla performed. I like her, but I think I didn't like that performance because I think they're trying to make her do too much dance, and that's not her gift. That ain't never been. That's not even the kind of artist in act she is. So she had this beautiful stage, just like I said all the time. Great stage, beautiful stage. But I think with them trying to make her focus on choreography, everybody don't got to dance. Like everybody, that don't got to be everybody. You don't want everybody doing the same thing. She already has enough energy on her own, and I feel like she can carry, her performances without all the hoopla. So I would have rather had her cut back on like the choreography and just kind of do her thing and let the staging and the dancers handle that part. Let me pause for a sec and read some comments, and then we can really have some real discussion in here. Somebody said they are not paying you, Calvin. Shh. Well, look, maybe they'll find me and come offer me a contract. Look, call me on over here to consult. Let me tell you what my fee is. All right. Alan said, fun fact, I was born the day hip hop was created. All right. I was born the day MTV launched, but just like a few years later, August 1st. Let's see. Alan Lewis said, I want to see Flo and Victoria Monet on the main stage. At this point, they should let Victoria's been doing the pre-show for like 3 years now. They should let their girl go ahead and get to the main stage. I understand Flo still being on the pre-show because they literally just kind of became a thing a year ago. So that I understand that. But yeah, some of these folks I wouldn't have had at the pre-show. I would have moved them to the main stage. Let me see. Said the crowd was whack. Somebody said, Rosewater said, I heard about it today. Simone T says, society does not appreciate authenticity anymore. Branding and what are my freaking glasses? I was about to use that word. Going viral matter more than the content, or matter more and the content suffers though. I'm gonna save it for another video I want to do, but I definitely was talking with somebody where I was saying, like, I feel like we're in the space, everybody already wants fame, right? Especially people that do things in the arts. They all want fame, which is cool, but I think a lot of folks the fame is starting to, the urge and the want for fame is starting to come to a space where it prioritizes over the actual craft. Like some of these folks don't even have an actual craft. They just, think about like, there's a lot of entertainers, you don't know any of their music, but you know all the drama because they're on the Shade Room every day or Baller Alert or something, right? But you don't know anything about their music. And then if you do see them perform or something, it's lackluster. They don't have any musicality. You're like, what? Why are you famous, right? So we're kind of seeing that weird shift. All right, let me keep going. Mad Skills did this portion where he kind of performed this track that kind of tells the story of hip hop. I guess that was cool. But again, the generational divide, the crowd didn't even understand half of the portions when he would like wait for the crowd response because half of them didn't even know the material he was talking about. All right, let's talk about Patti LaBelle and Tina Turner. Um, Now Patti, I love, so I'm not even going to give Patti any smoke because at this point, you should not be summoning Patti to do a tribute to anybody at this point anyway. She should be getting all the tributes at this point. It's something is weird about making people tribute their friends who passed on once they all hit a certain age. But for me, if I were in charge, I honestly would have told Patti, I want you to just go up there and sing whatever you want to sing. We're going to put the pictures of Tina in the background. We'll have the video montage. We'll bring the choir out. We'll have some dancing angels and some little glitter and stuff will fall down. And then the pyrotechnics will come out. And then at the end, there'll be the big picture of Tina. And while all this happening, Patti, I just want you to sing something and patify it. Like I would have just done that. Because I think the idea of trying to make Patti sing somebody else's song and read the teleprompter does not always work. So there was a teleprompter, according to what I saw on Twitter. Somebody made a post and they're like, oh, Patti couldn't see the lyrics because we were standing up. Because I guess when they were standing, it was blocking the teleprompter. That's why she's like, oh, I can't see the lyrics. I was like, dang. But I would have chose Simply the Best. Like if Patti had to do a Tina song, Simply the Best is cool, but not for the BET Awards. Like that's for the Oprah show. You know, oh, I guess she ain't on TV no more. You know, Simply the Best, in my opinion, as much as we love, or at least I love Tina and all that, I think that song doesn't fit for that show. She could have honestly just did What's Love Got to Do with It. It would have worked. She could have done Tina's version of or rendition of Let's Stay Together. I would even taken Private Dancer, the song, I thought would have been really good. Or she could have done I Don't Want to Fight No More. I thought those would have been cool. I just think Simply the Best is already a song that takes too long to build, and you got to just be able to just be on it. And because Patti wasn't familiar enough with the song, it just didn't quite work. Like she's trying to understand and remember the lyrics, and then I don't know if they were background singers or if that was playback of background singers, but then those two things weren't matching and it's throwing everybody off. Patti looked great though. I love Patti. She can do no wrong in my book, but I feel like they set her up like that. Like, why would you set her up with, I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to have a legend like Patti LaBelle there, roll out the red carpet for her and make sure that she has no hiccups, because if there's one performance that should be perfect, it should be hers. And again, to be fair, like Patti's also like 79, I think. Well, let me be correct. I don't want to get the wrong age. Let's see. How old is Patti? Maybe Gladys is 79. She might be Patti LaBelle. How old are you? Oh, she was 79. Okay. Yeah, and so putting the pressure on somebody who's 79 to give this amazing tribute to somebody who just passed, who's one of her musical peers with, you know, I don't know if her and Tina were best of friends or anything like that, but they've known of each other for at least the last 50 plus years, really 60 years. So, yeah, I would have just done something different where Patti would have had to memorize a song. Or if she wasn't going to be in a capacity to memorize it, just sing something else. I know when they did the Gerald Levert tribute, that was a really, really good one. That was when they did Wind Beneath My Wings, but it just worked, right? You know, it was Patti, it was Eddie. I can't remember who the third person was, but that was a beautiful tribute. Yeah, so yeah, there won't be any Patti slander coming from me, but I just think BET, y'all gonna have to do better by Tina too. That's not gonna slide with me. That can't be just the tribute y'all give Tina. All right, in the same way we chewed up the Billboard Awards when they tried it with the Aretha Franklin tribute when it was Madonna. Yeah, I need y'all to come. Was it? I'm sorry, it wasn't Aretha. Sorry, that was the VMAs where they decided they would let Madonna speak, and Madonna told some story about running up the flight of stairs in some prostitute building. I'm like, what kind of tribute am I watching? It was Prince and Stevie. Or it was the Prince tribute, and Stevie and Madonna did the tribute, and I don't know what that was. No disrespect to Stevie, he's great, but yeah. And then BET was like, we got y'all. Remember, they gave Prince this amazing tribute at the 2016 BET Awards. I'm not saying you got to give that much to Tina, but like, just you do right by her, please. Fantasia, I'm sure, would have been available. She would have had no problem showing up. Ledisi would have had no problem showing up if you needed her to sing. You know what I mean? That's all I'm just saying. Just you know, do right by Tina. That's just how I feel. Let me see here. Let's pause and read some comments real quick, and then we will keep going. Somebody said Flo's the only girl group out here killing it. To be honest, they're like the only girl group out. The only other girl group I know about is the Mako girls out of Atlanta, but they're more like, they're a bit more hip hop oriented. Yeah, that's the only other girl group I know that's out right now. Let us see here. Somebody said it was in Los Angeles, which is the problem. Most of us can't pick up and go over there. If it was in a city like Atlanta, the audience would have been more diverse because black folks are already there. I mean, you still got. I mean, 5% of the LA population is still black. I just think. I don't know how this was promoted in LA as far as attending. I don't know how this was pushed and rolled out with the writer's strike and the lack of promo. I don't know how any of this was done, but yeah, that crowd. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said they think DC would have been a more diverse audience. Yeah, DC would have been a fun crowd. I mean, you could have done it anyway. I just think you needed enough of the right generations. I just think you had too many folks from one generation in the audience because you want that aesthetic of the very youthful, attractive demographic of folks, and then they're not as familiar with a lot of the songs. They kind of ran into that a little bit in 2016 when they did a Prince tribute. And when they started doing all those Prince songs, half the crowd didn't know any of the material. So every time they would pan to the crowd, folks were just trying to play it off. It is what it is. Let's see. I am too far in this chat. I need to scroll down some. Somebody said Tiana Taylor apparently staged and choreographed Lotto's performance. She's the creative director for a number of new artists. Yeah, I like that she's doing that. By the way, if you have not seen her movie 1001, go see it. It was really, really good. She did excellent in that. So I hope she continues to act as well. Somebody said that's so doggone rude. If you're in the first 3 rows of the show, don't be on your phone. Performers and cameras will clock you. That must be towards Ice Spice. I was like, y'all over here texting and tweeting during people's performances. Like, all right. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, somebody Raymond said that's not a Tina Turner tribute. Patti did one song. The best. Patti could have done more songs, or even if they didn't. I mean, even if Patti just did that one song, y'all could have brought 2 more people out, just to fill it up a little bit more. And I get it. You already have the award show plan, and you don't plan for a big name to pass away suddenly. And now you have to adjust the show because it's kind of like when Michael Jackson died on a Thursday and the BET Awards was 3 days later, and they really had to say how are we gonna revamp this whole show? I get it. I totally get it. But it's like, dang, y'all set Patti up with that one. It's like y'all threw her out there and said, go ahead and sing Simply the Best. We got it. You got it. Like, man. All right, let me get through this last list and then we can chat here. They went back to that side stage. They had Remy Ma and Fat Joe come out. Fabulous, Cameron, Ja Rule. I really like that whole segment. That was a really fun segment. And so that was a lot of fun. Again, I wish some of these could have been longer. Like, I was like, y'all got all these great people out here, like, especially when they brought like Redman and all them out. I'm like, you got all these folks out here, but they're only on stage for like a minute. It's like, dang, this is why I really think the festival idea would be really, really dope. Just the 50-year anniversary of Hip Hop Festival, 3-4 days somewhere, have each day have a theme from the different eras of hip hop and just go for it. You can get everybody. Folks can bring out their guests and so on and so forth. It can just be an all out, straight up party. Like, and then, like I said, you stream it on BET Plus. Like, somebody at BET, I know one of y'all watching, so somebody take my notes, please. And then right after that whole hype segment, they bring out Ice Spice. Now, I was interested in seeing this, and I only say that because, look, when, like I said, in that beginning portion, when they had the seasoned vets performing and Ice Spice, everybody's clapping. She ain't even doing nothing. She did the hair flip thing and was, I'm not going to say she was unimpressed. I think she was just kind of in there chilling. I was like, well, I hope that when you get on this stage, you are going to wow us, because I'm not trying to say too much. But Ice Spice always goes on stage and uses her library voice. And that's fine for talent shows and the cute stuff. But now you're on the big stage at the award show. So I'm ready to be moved. So she went and performed. Great stage, beautiful stage. She had a little bit of personality. But I just get with Tiana Taylor. Call up Tiana. See if she can pencil you in after Summer Walker. And just, because, listen, with Ice Spice, I don't even have any beef with the girl. You know what I mean? What I look like trying to hound on some girl that's like 20. But like, I just feel like she's gotten so big, right? She has all this acclaim and everything that's coming. You want your performances to match the energy that people have behind you. And I don't know if that's supposed to be the brand where it's supposed to be I'm unbothered and I'm just real chill. So I'm going to just go up here and do the bare minimum and y'all going to like it. I would say that was cool if we weren't in a 2023 industry where once a label sees a trend, they think that's the only trend that exists. And then in, well, I don't know, 18 more months, they're going to have 10 more Ice Spices out and all of them are going to be on stage doing nothing. I'm going to feel some kind of way. That's all I would say. I think the performance wasn't bad, but I was just looking because I'm like, okay, you got all this staging. They had like a store on the stage. She was sitting on the basketball hoop. They had dancers. She did a little something. She's a cute girl, but I was just like, man, if you could just, maybe if you just speak up a bit while you perform, maybe it's just that. Maybe it's just something about that library voice she uses on the stage. I'm like, you don't got to match the studio vocal when you're rapping. This is when you're supposed to hype and wake the crowd up. I'm ready to be awakened. Okay, it's 11:30 at night, but everybody likes it, so it is what it is. It's so funny. Like, y'all know, back in the day, I used to run a center and have kids that I used to work with. And so one of my, well, she's grown now. She has sent me a text. It was like this clip of Janet on the last tour. She was like, Mr. Michael, this is what you pay to see. Now, mind you, she's obsessed with Ice Spice. I was like, you ain't about to talk about no Janet and you like Ice Spice. Get out of my face. Like, leave me alone, okay? As far as live performing, I don't want to hear it. But anyway, and I'm sure she will get better over time. And y'all know, back in the day, if you weren't a good performer, I used to light you up on this channel because Rihanna used to catch it on this channel. Trey Songz used to catch it on this channel back in the day. But my thing is, if you get fortunate enough to make it to the big stage, I want some big stage performances. Because again, there were some really great people that had to be stuck at the pre-show. I know if you would have dragged Victoria Monet or even Ray, whatchamacallit, what do you call them? Race from the two of them, the No Flex Zone dudes. They would have had a great performance on the larger stage because they tend to have a bunch of high energy. You know what I mean? Or even a guy, I forgot his name. He did the pre-show and Freeway came out right after him. He has a song that samples Bow Wow's "Take You Home" song or whatever it's called. Like, his energy was real dope. Like, I forgot his name, but he had a dope performance for the pre-show. I was bopping and I was like, hey, like the whole time. I was like, they should put him on the main stage. So that's all I'm saying. Marlon Harrison says, thank you. I wanted Fantasia to do Tina Turner tribute, but she's on tour right now. Okay, that explains where Fantasia was. All right. Wow. Oh, I forgot about that. Sweet Pity said, and then Tina died on Patty's birthday, which that's got to be tough too, right? That's like Whitney Houston dying on Brandy's birthday. And you know that was like her favorite singer. That's got to be tough. Just know when any more of my favorite entertainers pass on, just know I ain't going to work. Like, I'm over it. Too many folks be passing. And then, okay, going to my point. So right after Ice Spice, they had some girl named, Callie? I liked her, whoever she was, but, they went to a commercial. She was another one of the performers that was like one of the up and coming. They don't get the full performance. They get to do about a minute, and then MC Light's going to talk over them and go to commercial about what's next, right? Whoever she was, her bit was dope. I just feel like I need you to be hungry for it on the stage. It's cool if you went viral and you blew up in your song sketch on and you got like #1 hits. That's dope. But I just like performers. Like, that's my thing. Like, I love an artist and their catalog, but I love it when they're a great performer. You can lose me if you suck at performing. It just kills it for me. But to also be fair, I'm not her target audience. I'm not who they're marketing for. So what she does is working for the demographic that eats it up. It's just not for me. I have fully accepted that I have aged out of a certain caliber and demographic of who's going to be, the core audience of what's going to be marketed for certain folks. I get it. Then it got to the Busta Rhymes tribute. Busta said, y'all can give him his moment. He said he's going to talk for 20 minutes, and I fully support it. It's kind of dope because it is dope to see folks get their flowers. Because I remember when Busta Rhymes came out. I'm over here talking my age, but and he was a little choked up about it. I was like, yeah, go on and cry, bro. Like, get your tears out. You listen. Busta Rhymes is, when I say his music videos were an event, like every last one of them were an event back in the day. And I just remember, by the time he went solo, because he was so different from everybody else. Like, I remember folks were he kind of freaked people out at first. They thought he was a little kind of loony, just a little crazy at first, but it worked, right? And so got you all in check and Wuhan and all that. But like, his videos, every video, Give Me Some More, and like Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See, and Dangerous, and all these songs were just like super dope. And it was just what I always loved about Busta Rhymes' music was that he was gonna spit these fire lyrics, but it was gonna be over a dope beat. Like, everybody, okay. My favorite rapper has always been Nas, but Nas has been known to have some trash beats on a lot of his songs, right? He can give you some dope lyrics, but sometimes his songs, you be like, hey, man, you can't switch this up a bit just to make it a bit lively. He's gotten better in the last years, but it's like he fights the music sometimes. But I always felt like Busta always had a dope beat where like even if you don't like rap music or you're not pressed about learning the lyrics, he had stuff you could dance to. You know what I mean? All of those different songs, What It Is Right Now, and Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See, and just like song after song. And oddly enough, my favorite Busta Rhymes song is You Can't Hold the Torch, which is it's left field. It's off the Big Bang. It has Q-Tip on it, but it's a lot more mellow. It's not even one of the bangers like that. But yeah, I rock with Busta. I enjoyed his portion. I got nervous at first because I thought nobody was going to perform. I was like, he's just going to get the award and go home. Somebody better perform something. But they went to commercial. He came back. He said, "I'll just do my own performance." And so he brought out a bunch of folks. I'm probably going to miss half the folks. But before he got to the performance, I appreciate the fact that he brought up the fact that, all of this ego and the beefs and the drama and this petty stuff, y'all going to have to kill that. And Busta's been saying that for years. He's been saying that since It Ain't Safe No More came out, right? Been saying that. Because, it's just like music is the one thing, in my opinion, that brings people together. Like, politics will always keep us divided. Race will always keep us divided. Socioeconomics will always keep us divided. But music is the one thing that always brings people together. People can always connect through things that make them feel good. And I've always said, in my opinion, music is like a sixth sense. It's that one thing that everybody has some element of connectivity with. And music is the one thing where people from all over the world who have varying backgrounds, experiences, it's the one thing they can connect with. Like, think about when you go to a concert of your favorite artist, right? You look in the crowd and there's just so many people that come from all of these different places and experiences. But as soon as those songs come on and that entertainer does whatever they do on stage, it's like the entire stadium or arena or amphitheater, they're all on one page. And it's like this cohesive energy that's just like good and positive. Like, that's the dopest thing about music. And so I appreciate him saying, like, yeah, y'all are letting all this ego and all this other dumb stuff get in the way of the music. And y'all are creating these like fabricated beefs to try to sell records and get streams and, be the trending topic on somebody's YouTube channel or on social media or TikTok or whatever. When in reality, like, we've created this amazing genre. So why are we not letting, all of our artists flourish? So I appreciate that he also takes on to a lot of the new acts and he's supportive of everybody, which is really, really dope. And so, with his performance, he brought out a bunch of folks, of course. My favorite portion of all of that might have been Touch It. Touch It, just understand when Touch It dropped, Touch It was a movement, like when that thing came out. And then when the remix dropped that summer, it was like, okay, we're gonna keep it going, right? So I enjoyed that. He had Remy Ma come out, Rod Digger can come out at a portion. What I really thought was dope, Coi Leray surprised me. Like, I feel like she's come a long way. Like, y'all used to clown her so bad when she first came out, but I feel like she's really like taken note of some of the criticisms and some of the things that people have said. She's really worked a lot on like her stage performances. And I thought it was so dope that it was almost like a TLC VMA tribute with the costumes that the dancers had on. Like, if you remember the 95 VMAs, when TLC comes out with the black and white on, like even the choreography, they had like bits and pieces of it. I thought that was so dope. She did Players, but did the Busta Rhymes remix. I was like, look at that. See, that's how things work. So I really enjoyed all of that. She had a really dope performance. So I rock with all of that she had. So, I hope she gets everything she wants for Christmas. Let me see what else they had on there. Oh, they had Bia come out. Bia's cool. Bia's another one where I feel like I just need some more energy. She be using her library voice too. And then this time she had like a pre-record, I think. So she wasn't even using the voice. I'm like, y'all give me a little bit of energy. Because I remember last year, I don't know if that was the Hip Hop Awards or the BET Awards, but it's the performance where she was laying on the side. She was just laying down. I'm like, now, y'all, if you're going to be laying down, there better be some laying down choreography. You better be doing something on the ground, something. Because there ain't no way you about to just be laying sideways rapping in the mic. Like, no, you better have sprained your ankle and fell. That's the only reason why I want to see you laying down rapping. But that it was cool for what it was. And then they had Spice come out. Every time I think of Spice, y'all know that one clip where she's performing. That's the one where she has the luggage and they're pushing on the stage. This one she got the pink wig. Every time I think of Spice, I always think of that performance. So it was kind of cool to see that. The whole Busta Rhymes tribute was dope. I would have probably added a few more songs with it. But at this point, I was half asleep waiting. I was waiting for the show to end at this point so I could start the live and go to bed. But yeah, I'm glad he was able to get his flowers. Like I said, when it came to music videos, I always felt he and Missy just were amazing as far as the visuals when it came to music videos. And I'd even throw Ludacris in there too, like as far as just the kind of videos they put out. And I appreciate people who let the art tell the story. It's one thing to make a song it's another thing to make a song that's a banger, but it's another thing to make a song that's a banger and then have a dope visual to go with it, right? Like that's like some top tier stuff. Like I can't name a bad Busta Rhymes video. I can't really name a bad Missy video. I can't name a bad Ludacris video. And so like I appreciate rappers that really decided to step out the box, because I think when you talk about that transition of hip hop going from being a genre that was up and coming to eventually being the largest and biggest genre in music, a lot of that also plays a part in, or a lot of what plays a part in that is also the presentation of how they presented their music videos. Even when you talk about K-pop and how big it is, when you're looking at those visuals and how much effort goes into what they put in with the music videos, a lot of that is coming from the same thing that they borrowed from these hip hop entertainers, the Missies, these visual entertainers that gave these really big videos. So the Missies, the Bustas, the Ludacris, the Michaels, and Janets, and all these different folks that really put effort in music videos, where the music videos were going to tell stories and people were going to be characters. And Lil Kim's videos, or even like a Nicki has some pretty dope videos too. Like all of that matters. So I appreciate people who put effort into their presentation. And then they had the dancer portion, where they kind of do the regional and the different dances from the different eras. And then by then I think I turned it off and started this live. So whatever I missed, I missed. So overall, like the show, in my opinion, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was there. But for me, the highlight would have been the people that showed up. They had a lot of people in the building, which amen, because a lot of times folks don't be there. That was the highlight for me. And like I said, I just think if you want to do a tribute to 50 years of hip hop, you can't squeeze it in a 3-hour show. Sorry. That's why I think the idea of a festival would be really, really dope. So you know what? Why don't y'all celebrate the 51st anniversary? It don't always got to be the 25th and the 50th. We celebrate these people while they're here, because folks be dying every week. So you know what? Y'all can go back to the drawing board, do the 51st celebration, and make it a festival, and then stream that thing on BET Plus. All right. Let's go to some comments. And all I'm saying is, if I go and I see this on BET Plus in a year and a half, y'all better give me my credit. Like, man. All right. Somebody said they didn't do Natalie Cole either. Well, I know what Natalie Cole they did at BET Honors. I don't think they did the BET Awards. And it was because Natalie died that December, and then BET Honors was normally in January. So I know they did it then. And then I guess they already said, well, since we did BET Honors and the BET Awards is usually in June, I guess we've already done Natalie. So I guess that's how they did it. All right, so we will chop it up and read some comments, and then I'm going to take my butt to bed, because some of us, actually most of us, got to go to work in the morning. Nathan Moore said the talent isn't with the new generation. It's, to be fair, it's there, but the people in charge don't want to give the people with the talent the stages. And then I think, how do I word this? Because folks, this is one of the reasons why I stopped doing the R&B is Dead series, because I was getting annoyed with people who just don't listen. I think, like we've always said, there's some really great artists out there. The part that sucks is you have to dig through the trenches of the internet to go find them. And I think that's the part that sucks. Now, some people say, well, don't be lazy, go and look for them. And I'm like, not everybody has the time to do that in the same way. Like, I think when you're a teenager or you're a kid, especially before the era of YouTube, when everything was still on the music networks, like you had all day to sit and watch 106 in Park and TRL and BET's The Center and Rap City and all of these different shows and catch up on all the latest music videos, because you were a teenager or a kid. You didn't have to go to work. You don't have to get up early, so you got all day to be tuned in. And then these songs are like, they're on the radio, heavily saturated. You're hearing them in the grocery stores. They're a part of a national conversation. As we shift into the modern era, music is very oversaturated because you have a lot of do-it-yourself artists, myself included. And so there's this massive influx of artists that make their own music, and then the industry's shifted. So you have YouTube, which is here now. So that kind of kills off the major music networks. It kind of also kills off the same influence that radio has. So it is very hard, I think, in this modern day and age for people collectively to get behind a lot of different artists. And I think labels are afraid to take gambles because they don't want to lose money. And so they kind of just lock in with whoever they put out there, and that's just what it's going to be. The era of, think of like, I know we're almost going so far off the BET Awards now, but it is what it is. Think of like a Keisha Cole, right? Keisha Cole comes out. She's on the Barbershop soundtrack. She has that song that samples Luther Vandross, Never Too Much, right? It's kind of a buzz. It doesn't really do much. Then she comes out with I Changed My Mind. Kanye's production on it. It's not a really big hit, but it's done a little something. Then she comes out with I Just Want It to Be Over. Still not really a big hit. The album is out at this point. It's moving a little slow, but the label still believes in her, right? And they keep pushing and pressing, and then they drop, I Should Have Cheated. Now she's gaining some traction, and then boom, here comes Love. She has this massive hit, and then the rest is history. Keisha becomes Keisha. Labels are not putting that much time into an artist anymore. If you already have not gone viral on TikTok, or you don't have Spotify stream numbers independently before you even get to the label, they're just not pushing you. And so I think what sucks is some of the really, really good ones are the folks we'll never hear. You might catch them at some underground club, and they might give you the best concert you've ever been to, but there was only 40 people in the audience, right? And it was at some venue where they paid out of pocket for a 2.5-piece band to play with a track, but it was the dopest show ever. That's the part I think that sucks, because there is a lot of talent. We're just not seeing them, and it just sucks. I miss the era of. I feel like there's not a collectively shared experience with music anymore. Like, I just read that Morgan Wallen has some song that's been #1 for like 20 weeks. I have not even heard it yet. And I follow music. I don't know what the song is called. Apparently it's about to beat Lil Nas X's record. It's the same one that he beat Mariah with, as far as being #1 on Billboard Hot 100. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard this song before, right? And that just goes to show like how different the definition of a hit and stuff is now. Things have shifted, especially with streaming and all, and they got streaming farms and stuff. You can manipulate numbers and everything, but another conversation for another video. Let's see. Y'all are really going in with Fantasia. Y'all want Fantasia to do the Tina tribute. All right. Somebody said, let us see Shantae, Jill, or Fantasia. I like Shantae Moore, but Shantae Moore did a Tina Turner tribute before, and I wasn't crazy over it. If you go back to the Soul Train Awards, it's Shantae Moore and Karen White. It was cool. Shantae Moore has a very pretty voice. See, Tina has some grit in hers. I need somebody with some grit. Like Shantae can do Denise Williams and sound amazing, but I don't want Shantae Moore doing Tina, because Shantae has a different kind of voice. Like Shantae is like a songbird, just like a hummingbird, just beautiful. But Tina had grit and growl and go up there and just like I need that kind of voice. So that's where Fantasia and all them kick in. I'm sure if Shantae wanted to do that, she could, but let's just go ahead and get the people that already do that. And that's no dig at Shantae. I know she's one of my favorites as well. Let's see. Calvin Michaels, articulation is clear, precise, detailed, accurate, educational, informative, and easy to understand. He's very. Oh, this is about me. Oh, thank you. I was like, what's he talking? Very intelligent, black, brilliant media news analyst genius. Thank you. I appreciate that, Christopher Perkins. Let's see. I agree, Dahlia. At best, it's insensitive to have someone who's already elderly perform a song for him appear. All of Patty's peers are passing. Oh, don't remind me. Are passing away. I can't imagine what it feels like to have to say goodbye constantly. Because y'all call Patty for every tribute anyway. She didn't have to sing for so many of her friends. And I'm sure she's a good spirit. Like, she is down for anything. She's just as good energy all around. But that has to be sad. That's why I have nothing bad to say about her individual performance. She still was fine. I just think, let somebody else do it. And like I said, I mean, Patty's already gotten her BET Awards tribute, but like, man, that's tough. Somebody said, I heard she'd be real boring, though. Did she do better here? I don't know who this is about. My guess is that it's about Ice Spice again. I don't know, and I'm not trying to fight the girl, so please, Ice Spice fans, don't come in here trying to fight me. Like, y'all can have the girl. I'm not pressed like that. I support. I did like the Boy Is a Liar song. I thought that was a kind of catchy song. It kind of reminds me of, like, if I was a teenager, that probably would have been something I would have been kind of rocking to at the school dance. Like, I do like that song. I like that ice cream truck kind of medley thing was really catchy. So I was like, okay, I like that. That's a fun track. It sounded very different. So I give her that. But I know they're going to come on here and be ready for war. I haven't had a chance to see the video with her and Nicki yet for the Barbie song. It's not, like I said, I don't be following them like that, but I'll definitely check out the video when I get a chance. Was Outkast mentioned? They were mentioned in the, what was his name again? Hold on, the guy that did the medley. Oh, Mad Skills. They were mentioned in his song where he kind of talks about, Andre 3000 at the Source Awards, you know, South got something to say. Briefly mentioned, but that's about it. Yes, exactly. Somebody said, yeah, Lola Brooks' performance was cut off. And Lola was killing it. Like, they had the dancer, she had the energy. I just feel like for hip hop, and the only reason I go so hard about this is because, again, in those earlier years, especially with the pioneers or the people back in the day, if you sucked, you didn't get to go to the next show. You were chopped off the block, and they brought somebody else in. You know, you didn't go to whatever house party or whatever club and just go up there and do the bare minimum. Like, you had to go hard because everybody was trying to take your spot if you had a spot, because everybody was trying to get a spot. And so it's kind of like Showtime at the Apollo. Like, I always said, the perfect way to build a perfect record label with some talent is make them go audition at Showtime at the Apollo. If they get booed, they don't get signed. I'm sorry. Like, them early episodes of Showtime at the Apollo from like 1987 to about 93, that crowd was vicious. Even people that were decent got booed because you couldn't even go up there and be decent. You had to be phenomenal. And then even if you did really, really good and the crowd loved you, if there was another act that was just a tiny bit better than you when it came down to the wire and Kiki Shepard came up and put that hand over the head for the crowd to clap, they would boo you if it came down to you and that last person, and they had to do a re-vote with the audience. No matter how much they loved you, if you were just a tad bit less than the other person, they would boo you so the other person could win. Like, that crowd was vicious. You couldn't go up there doing no BS. And so I think with hip-hop, those early years, especially when it was still very crowd oriented and based on like live performances and neighborhoods and who could throw the hypest block party and everything like that, you know, that stuff was serious. Now I get it now. There's a lot more industry support and stuff. You can almost get signed and just be thrown out there and be marketed as the greatest thing ever. But it's just, I like folks that are hungry for it. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like seeing people who are hungry for it. That's when you see them at their best. I think one of the reasons people love the movie Set It Off so much is because I feel like that's when all four of the lead actresses were still like on their way as actresses. So they were hungry for it. Like Queen Latifah ate the hell up out of that role. You know, Vivica chewed that role up. You know, Jada killed it. You know, Kimberly Elise, like they all four of them were just like hungry for it. And the cohesiveness and just the execution of how they delivered in their roles was just absolutely crazy. And the crazy part is Vivica wasn't even, you know, Vivica initially was going to be, I think, audition for Stoney. Right. But I mean, I'm glad she got to be Frankie. But the point that I'm making is just like, when people are hungry for it, they're going to do everything, you know. So when you look at some of the greats, like look at somebody like, and they're getting older now, but look at like Usher, right? And how dope he is. Think about like when Usher first came out, how he had to like fight and claw because it was an already oversaturated market when it came to a lot of male R&B crooners. Like, you know, at that point it was a Tevin Campbell world. You know, y'all was still riding the wave of Can We Talk and everything else like that. You know, you had who else? Who's the boy from High Five? I Want to Love Like That. Tony Thompson, you had him in there. You had, you know, Jesse Powell. You had all these different acts, and then there's the male acts, and then again, and those are just the teenagers. Then you still have the male, like the grown folks, right? Gerald Levert is doing his thing. After Seven is still doing their thing. Babyface is still doing his thing. Keith Sweat is still doing his thing. You got D'Angelo is kind of emerged. He's doing his thing. Maxwell is coming out. He's doing his thing. Tony is still doing their thing. Mint Condition is still doing their thing. Like, it was like Aaron Hall was still doing his thing. R. Kelly was doing his thing. And listen, as for all of the backing and everything that's happened in his life, he was still doing some stuff back in the day artistically. You know, Joe was doing his thing. Brian McKnight was out doing his thing. Like, it was like so many male entertainers, and little poor Usher, whose voice was going through the change, had to somehow fight and claw and find his spacing in there. And look how hard he fought, you know, and how much effort he put into his craft, where we fast forward some years later, here comes, you know, the My Way album in 8701, and then we get to Confessions. You see how polished he becomes and how great he is. And now in modern times, where people tend to write entertainers off after they hit a certain age, he looks like he's at his peak right now as far as dancing, singing. Everything is just flowing perfectly, where most people would have written him off and said, oh no, he's old news. But no, he's like definitely staying in there. Or Beyonce, who's on a stadium tour over in Europe right now. Okay, she ain't even from over there, and she's selling out stadiums. Okay, again, years of putting in the work and the hunger and the rehearsals and stuff. A lot of these folks are just getting on because they're going viral, and then they get put out on the stage and look lost. And so it's setting up a lot of folks to suck. Let me see. All right, let me keep it going. All right, we're gonna read some comments here. They didn't mention A Tribe Called Quest. I got a problem with that too. Rest in peace to Phife Dawg. Um, let me see. Busta did do his verse from Scenario though, so okay. Um, where we at here in my chat? I really need. I At some point I'm finally gonna start wearing glasses during these lives. I'd be really trying to pretend that everything is good over here. It's okay though. Somebody said, "Where's Ice Cube?" I don't know, but somebody tell Ice Cube, listen, if you want to jump into politics, don't wait until 2 months before the election. So if you want to jump back in, this is the time to start talking about whatever you're gonna talk about. That's all I'm saying, y'all. These entertainers be waiting until a month before the election and want to shake the table. After early voting done already started. Like, come on now. Um, but yeah, they could have had Ice Cube there. Today was a good day. Um, um, BET shaded their biggest supporter. I don't know what that's about. Um, can Calvin see the hearts? I don't think I just see the chat. Unless you guys are talking about like hearts that you put in the chat, I don't see anything. Um, yeah, are there hearts or something on here? Maybe I need to upgrade the. I don't know. I don't see anything. All right. Let me see. Okay. He said, "Yeah, I don't know how to feel about Buster. He deserves his dues, but he's been very problematic. Like, there's only so much grace I can give. Off past of Cavassier. All right, so one of the things that I don't really do is follow a lot of these entertainers. So I don't even be knowing what half of these folks be doing outside. Because every time you start following folks, you be getting mad because they start doing stuff you don't like. So there's not too many entertainers that I follow like tooth and nail where I know what's happening with their personal lives or their different statements. Or if I hear about it, we probably making a video about it. So Buster, I haven't been following like that in a while. So I don't know what he has done in modern times, but okay. Um, y'all are laughing at my laying down choreography. Somebody Tyler said, was it better than last year's? I don't even remember last year's. Um, I I don't remember. I don't remember how I think I just remember Doechii take if that was Doechii, she took the wig off and had the cornrows. I don't even remember who they honored last year. I got to go back. I don't even think I did a review. I haven't done a BT Awards review since I think 2020. I could be wrong. I don't know. Missy was not there. Somebody said, "Don't forget Buster collab with Janet. That was a dope video." Oh yeah. What's it gonna be? Mm-hmm. Oh, she was in his video montage. Okay, yeah, Mariah was in that too. It was kind of cool to see all his industry peers. Oh yeah, thank you, Shanti. And then also Hype Williams. Yeah, you definitely have to add him into the conversation because he pretty much, with the vision, he definitely was the person behind the execution for a lot of those videos. Like a lot of those Busta Rhymes videos, a lot of the Missy videos, like PLC, No Scrubs. He's doing a big videos. So yeah, great videos. What did Busta do? Because y'all are lighting him up in here. Clearly, I'm out the loop. Y'all can fill me in because I done missed something here. Y'all chewing up Busta. Wait a minute. Hold on. Somebody said Janet and Mariah are the biggest legends we have left. Prince going, Whitney going, Michael going. I think out of their peer group, yes. Out of that peer group of like the Michael, Prince, Whitney, Madonna, Mariah, Janet window, yes. But the generation before them, there's still some legends that are there. Like Gladys is still here. The Ozzy brothers, Stevie, Angela Winbush. I'm skipping so many people. Frankie Beverly, and who's left of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yeah, there's a whole lot from the generation from before them that are still with us. But yeah, a lot of those people who would have been like what you call the pioneers of the MTV generation, we've lost a lot of them. Prince, Whitney, Michael. Really sad. So yeah, you got to celebrate these people while they're still with us, which is why I go hard for the people I go hard for. Somebody said Coco Jones is an amazing artist and actress. Yeah, I'm rooting for her, and she's really good on Bel Air as well. Somebody said, fact, labels don't want to take risks anymore. California Girl 3507 said it took Rihanna a few singles before she became really big with Umbrella. Yeah, like even Rihanna, they weren't even really sure what to do with her. Like I feel they were going to just push her to be the one hit wonder, because I just remember when her and Tierra Marie came out summer of 05, it from the standpoint of a viewer that was just paying attention to music, it looked like Tierra Marie was supposed to be the big one, because she was the one that was signed, to Rockefeller and everything like that. And Rihanna was on Island Def Jam, and really at that point in time, and I'm sorry, was it just Def Jam? I can't remember which one, but yeah, Rihanna, they had the Ponder Replay, and the Ponder Replay to me just sounded like, one of those summer banger radio songs from some girl that you're never going to hear from in 6 months, right? And then they gave her a second single with If It's Loving That You Want. I was like, okay, this is kind of cute. And I went and bought the album. I was like, oh, this is a cute little album. This is cool for what it was. And then, she gets the deal with Nike, and they sponsored the SOS video, and SOS is a big hit. I'm like, okay, SOS is a hit. All right, this girl might actually have some legs here. And then they pushed Unfaithful. I couldn't stand that song, but it was a big hit as well. And then they pushed We Ride. And there was the Break It Off song with Sean Paul. And then I think Umbrella came. And by the time Umbrella dropped, by then it was a different marketing strategy. They knew by then, okay, we can really do something with this girl. So they weren't just treating her like a second-rate artist on the label. They're like, let's put some money behind her, and so you get Good Girl Going Bad. So yeah, that era of labels putting in time to really make an artist happen, you're not really seeing it. And not even that, but just like also the consistency behind it too, like really pushing and trying to, make their artists get on. I don't know if the same thing exists. Somebody said the algorithms are killing the artists. Oh, by the way, this is unrelated. I went and saw After 7 in concert last night. That's a good show. So if they're in your town, definitely check them out. Good mix. It's kind of sad because Melvin is no longer living, but they put on a good show. Radical for God said, we are in war and we're jumping around singing. Well, we always been jumping around singing. You got to have something to counterbalance the chaos, or you're going to go crazy and die of hypertension at 59 if you spend all of your energy only focused on all the terrible things. I feel like we can walk and chew gum at the same time. You know what I mean? Let's see. Somebody said they're bringing, let me see, Radical for God said they're bringing back a lot of older days artists. So I do think that is one of the pluses with like social media. The idea of, consumers can kind of somewhat combat the powers that be up top in regard to what they want to get behind and what they want to support. And so I think in the last 5 or 6 years, you've seen so many acts from earlier eras have a resurgence and a reemergence where, like, not only are they kind of a household name again, but they're like selling out big venues. They're getting decent hits on like the adult contemporary R&B charts on radio and radio play, like they all kind of different things. And I think a lot of that comes from, social media is something that's in the hands of the consumer. And so think of even like when the Mariah Carey fans had like the Justice for Glitter campaign, and they were able to get the Glitter soundtrack, that same soundtrack that people used to kick Mariah down for, all the way to the top of the iTunes charts, however many years after the movie came out, like that kind of stuff. It kind of gives people a second wave, so yeah, you're definitely seeing a lot of people who at one point, could barely sell out nightclubs. They're going back to amphitheaters, and some of them are going to arenas. So I think that's really dope. You know what I mean? Because I think, again, music is timeless. Music is forever. So I feel like as long as an artist can still perform or give audiences what it is that they're craving, they should always be able to have a career. All right. Ms. Williams said, I remember Just Call Me a Mac. I like that Usher song. Look, Usher was in his Tony Braxton pocket on that one. All right. When he gets in, well, no, fat. I said, sing, little Usher. I was like, go ahead. I love that song. Tyler Hackner said, yes, let people develop. I 100% agree. And if you're going to let them develop, stop putting them on these big stages when they ain't ready. But yeah, let's see. Somebody said Tierra's album was a bop. I did like the Tierra Marie album. I bought it. The song I liked was what, Get Down Tonight. This is for them booming systems, the banging systems that got that bass. Whatever that song was, I like that one. That was a nice one. Summer of 05 was one of my favorite years for music. Favorite periods of music. Lots of really great albums had just really blown up around that time. Like Life Jennings had finally blown up. He had come out the year before, but he blew up like that summer. That's still one of my favorite R&B albums, that Life Jennings debut album. And what else came out? 05, summer 05. Yeah, but we talked about Keisha Cole and come out. Trey Songz had come out. But I did like him in the beginning. I like Just Gotta Make It the album. Dang, there was a bunch of stuff. A. Marie had dropped. Well, one thing had just come out. One thing had come out. Bobby Valentino was out. Mariah was still riding the wave of emancipation. I really like that Omarion and Bow Wow song, the Let Me Hold You Down Tight song. That was a fun one. All the crunk stuff was still going on. Ying Yang Twins and Tidra Moses had put that thing down. That was my song. Who else? Neo was bubbling under. He hadn't blown up yet, but he was on his way. Sierra was still riding the wave of her first album. And I think at that time, that's when they had Lose Control was out. And Like You was out with her and Bow Wow. Vivian Green, Gotta Go was out. I think Tweet Turn the Lights Off had just come out. Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah. What a time. Oh, have you finished? Oh, God. So What Happened episode? No, I have not. I had to pause because I was taking care of some business. But just know that episode so far, my notes alone are 36 pages. And that all have to be filmed. Yay, can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be good when it gets there. But, man, it's going to take forever to get through. They take so much time to do just from trying to get your facts and stuff right. I really try to not have any flaws in those So What Happened videos because, one, they're very long. But, two, fan bases are crazy. And when you get one thing wrong, they be on here ready to fight. They said he said African Americans don't have culture and other things about African Americans. See, I don't understand. I'm gonna go left field for 1 second. I don't understand where that conversation comes from. The idea of saying Black Americans, when I say Black Americans, I'm talking about people who, are generations and generations locked into the United States, great grandparents were slaves in the United States, that kind of thing. Listen, for those who continue to jump on this conversation of saying like Black Americans have no culture just because for some reason y'all think us being here for however many generations removes us from having any kind of significance, understand that pretty much everything you see happening in the world culturally most of the time stems from things that Black Americans have created. That's all I'm going to say. Like, understand Black Americans definitely have a certain culture. That's why even when you just talk about how do I want to word this? Because I don't want to start a war on here tonight because I'm about to go to bed anyway. But there's just certain things collectively that we've always been able to do that only we do amongst ourselves. And it's just things that it's like collective knowledge. That in itself is culture. Even when you talk about like how the simple idea of like you see a toddler out on the street without a coat and you get pissed off, right? Like Black folks be quick, like, somebody need to put a coat on that baby. Or the idea of like a toddler running and having a good time and we just automatically be like, oh, that baby's gonna sleep good tonight. Those kind of things. Or even again, like I said, the conversation of you getting sent to the South for the summer to go stay with your grandma and the cousins and the aunties and uncles. Like all of those things play a role. And when I say culture, it's not even just limited to music. It's not just limited to food. It's not just limited to lingo. It's to a bunch of different things. Like, and so I don't understand why people get that, where they get that from. I think a lot of times there's an element of assuming that just because I guess we don't speak a language other than English, all of a sudden we just are a bunch of American sheep and puppets. And I think that's what people tend to try to latch onto. And I'm just like, I don't know where y'all getting this from, but folks need to start reading more books. Folks need to start being around other people. Because a lot of folks are cosplaying us, but they want to tell us that we don't have any culture. I'm not down with that. Like, you can't sit here and try to mimic and mock everything I do, speak with my dialect, wear my same fashions, eat my same food, listen to my same music, and then say I have no culture. That we're not gonna do that. But anyway, there's that. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Peace to everybody. I want everybody to be happy. I don't believe in doing the diaspora wars because it's, to me, it ain't gonna get us nowhere. But I respect everybody's plight, please. In the same way I can respect everybody's, respect mine. Let's see. somebody said, "Can I do a Sierra?" So what happened? Look, after I do this Mariah one, I don't know what we're doing. Mariah's kicking my behind on this. So what happened? Plus, I need to do another male artist because at this point, it's been when the Mariah one is done, it'll be 5 women and 1 male. So I'm just trying to balance it out a tiny bit. But I don't mind doing a Sierra one. She'd have an interesting one. Some folks were asking me to do In Vogue as well. They just take forever to do. Like, man, it would be different if I didn't have like a full like 9 to 5 and other things I was doing. And even though I don't work at my center, I still mentor half the kids. Like, I just don't be having a lot of time like I want to have. So it makes it harder to like put stuff out in the way that I want to put it out. Let's see. I said this was gonna be quick, and we done been on here for an hour and a half already. Oh, y'all are saying the Glitter soundtrack was gold. I like the soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack was fun. Somebody said, "Do I watch the Bear?" I don't even know what the Bear is. I'm behind on a lot of the shows. The only show I've been keeping up with, I just finished Your Honor, which honestly came out like a few months ago. That's the one that's on Paramount Plus and Showtime. I love that one. That's a really good one. Let's see. Oh yeah, Angie BM Pandu. I hope I said your name right. Please forgive me if I said it wrong. Yes, they said please should have went to top 10. What the F is wrong with Barry Hankerson? Yeah, I always thought Please was a bigger hit. So when I was doing the research for the So What Happened, I was like, this is what it charted at. I swore it was a bigger hit. But yeah, that was a great one. Take This Ring was my song too, from Tony. Man, somebody said Jamie Foxx Unpredictable. That's a really good one. All right. I'd be saying a million ums when I'm trying to find a comment. Let me see. Yeah, I just don't like the conversation of people saying that we don't have a culture. Like that makes no sense to me. Like understand when you now from a systemic conversation, like understand when you map out a country of what is now 330 million people, but when you map out a country and segregate it and redline it to the point where folks are only allowed to live amongst each other, understand that that creates a culture amongst those people that only they can duplicate and replicate, which is why our culture is so rooted within this country and everywhere. Because again, because we were limited and locked into these different pockets of cities all across the country, and we weren't allowed to be in certain spaces, and we had to do for ourselves in regards to having our own businesses and everything else like that. Understand that bred so much culture, even in music. Understand that white entertainers, there's a reason why when they go on tour, they get black background singers. Because understand black folks, especially when you're talking music and the idea of a lot of black folks that came out of the church, just understand there's a certain element with the with the resonance in our voices, or at least the singers, resonance and sustainability in the voices and everything that people just recognize. It seems to be something that technically only black people have, right? And I just listen. Britney Spears goes on tour. When she does, all her backup singers are black. Most of the band is black. You know, all of these people go on tour and do whatever. They know who to go and who to go find, right? So when folks be trying to act like we just don't contribute anything, we're just sitting here being a bunch of lame ducks. I'm like, y'all are on some nonsense. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, no, absolutely not. Or even like Twitter is interesting. Black people, the reason I like Twitter, even though I can't stand Elon Musk, Twitter is very entertaining because for black folks, like Twitter is one big giant conversation with black folks, and it's been this ongoing conversation since like 09. And some folks cannot understand what the heck is going on. It's kind of like either you're rooted in this space or you're not. You know, those elements of just again relatability, or even when you see like a lot of the people who do like parodies or things that kind of make us laugh, and it highlights that so many of us had the same childhood. Like all of that stuff is rooted in culture. So I don't get where people get that from. And then, you know, I just think it opens a different conversation that can definitely go in another direction, and it's not going to get us anywhere. So like, cut the crap. All right. Somebody said Charlie Wilson had Yeah, that's a good one. One of the best comebacks. We don't talk about it often. Like, yeah, Charlie, the fact that he like, what was that, about 05, 06 when he kind of returned and then just like has been putting out hit after hit after hit after hit after hit, especially for like the adult contemporary charts. Because I remember it was like, name is Charlie, last name Wilson, and There Goes My Baby, and what else? He has a bunch of songs, but yeah, that's definitely one. He's definitely kept it going. Somebody said, okay, chat, work with me. This thing skipped. Okay, do your So What Happened videos have to be artists, or would you talk about producers? So I've said this like a million times on the channel. I just haven't had a chance to execute it. There's other things I want to kind of jump into. So right now, the So What Happened is going to kind of stay in the same format it's in, where it's mainly about the artist. But I'm kind of jumping into a space where I'm going to diversify how I approach it. So either it's going to be the conversation of a project that did not do as well, and we have the conversation leading up to why, and then we're doing some reverse episodes. So like this Mariah one is a reverse. So as opposed to just hounding on glitter, we're going to talk about how she went from glitter to charm bracelet to the emancipation and how she was able to make a comeback. And a lot of that conversation kind of goes back into what I was saying earlier with, I think one of the reasons why Mariah had such a hard time when all that went down was that's still the era of when mainstream media got to determine who was hot and who was not, and not the consumer, because something like social media wasn't a thing yet. So once mainstream media and the outlets for exposure decided to cut you off and say you were done, it was really hard to climb out of that dark space that they put you in. Kind of similar to what we said with the Janet So What Happened after the Super Bowl. But now we look at modern times, and you look at, again, social media and the consumer having more of a say in what they want to get behind and what they want to support. And so we look, Mariah had this massive comeback and is still commercially relevant years later. Janet just wrapped up her sold out arena tour. Y'all be trying to laugh about her seats and numbers and nobody be seeing her, but every show was sold out on this tour. So yeah, so that's kind of where it goes. But there's some other things I'm going to jump into, but I'm learning to stop announcing stuff unless I put it out. Because some of y'all be like, yeah, you said that 8 months ago and we ain't got it yet. So yeah. I haven't seen The Bear yet. So I don't know what that one is. Oh, what I was going to say, because I didn't finish my thought. Miss Renee was saying something about our voices are way better. The point that I was making with the backup singers, I noticed, especially with women singers, I noticed Black women, especially Black altos, seem to have a much smoother time singing the really, really low notes in comparison to white women that are altos as well. It's not saying that white women can't hit low notes, so please don't come on here trying to fight me. But I've seen a huge difference in the richness and tone. And again, that conversation of resonance and sustainability. And I think that's one of the reasons why you tend to see a lot of like Black women on people's tours, because when it comes to the blending that kicks in, when you start having 3 or 4 backup singers and they need to blend. And if you want to have a woman that is an alto or a contralto that's trying to hold those bottom notes, you need somebody with a rich tone whose voice isn't too thin, or the voice isn't going to give out. Because again, understand, even in the conversations of race, you can tell whether somebody is Black or not when they answer the phone if you haven't seen them, just based on the timbre that's in their voice, or if somebody's white. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to like make this a thing about this versus that, but the point that I'm making is just, even when we're talking about genetics and how we're built up, there's just some things that are different, and it shows in how we present ourselves when it comes to like even music and everything like that. So understand, like, folks know who to go to for a lot of things, especially when you're talking about band directors and everything. Folks know who to call when it's time to go on tour. Even the country acts be having Black band, and that's why I really enjoyed that Beyonce performance at that country award show when it was her and the Dixie Chicks together. I enjoyed all of that, because that was like the perfect blend of like two worlds coming together just to make some magic. And I mean, they went and had some grit and tore that little award show down. All them people in there pissed off because they don't like Beyonce because they think she hates white people, and they hate the Dixie Chicks because they still mad at them for whatever they said about George Bush. But getting both of them on that stage, they killed that crap. I watched that performance just because I know it pissed people off. I enjoyed every minute of that. But yeah, just that mixing of the creative worlds, just straight magic. Man, they were here not too long ago, but I was kind of scared to go because I was afraid I was gonna be the only black person in the crowd, and I didn't feel like fighting for my life in the parking lot after the show. I'm just kidding. Let me see. Um, Somebody said, I agree with the low register. Beyonce sounds her best now that her voice has aged enough to hit those rich baritone notes. It sounds so pretty. Chloe Bailey has a great lower register too. Yeah. See, I like all voices, but I've always said my favorite as I've gotten older has always been altos because I just think altos carry the melody. I love a soprano. I love a soprano that can sing way up to the rafters and hit them high notes, but there's something about that pocket that altos have. Like a lot of my favorite vocalists are altos. So like Gladys, Brandy, Tony, Layla, like they have these just beautiful pockets that are just so rich when they get into their zone. I love all that. Um, Let me see. We don't went so far from these BET awards, but it's fine. We just up here chopping it up. Oh, speaking of, because again, yes, y'all are saying Beyonce's voice is mature. That's kind of like even when I went to the After Seven show, they were really good, but I was like, man, they still have Kevon Edmonds singing these songs so high. Like Kevon he was a really strong tenor. Like he could sing way up there. Um, and so, like After Seven has those songs like, This Is How I Feel Natural High and, Till You Do Me Right and Sarah Smile and Ready or Not. And all of those songs, Kevon sings way up there. And I was like, man, Kevon Edmonds is like 65. Well, let me see how old he is. I'm like, so to be of that age and you're still, and mind you, After Seven, I think they were in their mid 30s when they came out, but like to still be trying to sing songs, in the range that you have when you're in your 30s that high, I was like, kudos to you, because I was tired for him. If I was him, I would have lowered the keys on every song. Like, I'm not about to be singing this crap way up here. Absolutely not. It's kind of like when I went to that R&B live show and Tevin Campbell performed. Oh yeah, he is 65. Tevin Campbell was like, listen, as soon as it's gonna get to the point where I'm gonna realize that I'm not like 17 anymore, I'm gonna lower this song, the keys on these songs, because Tevin can still hit all the notes, but again, it's a lot of work climbing up there after a certain age. You know what I mean? So yeah. Kenny Lattimore is a great vocalist too. I like his pocket. He sounds. My favorite song with Kenny on it is him and Shantae Moore. They remake Minnie Riperton's "Here We Go." He sounds so good on that. That's a good pocket there. He never got his just due. He should have had a bigger career. But again, going back to our conversation with Usher, there were just so many male entertainers that could sing. Everybody, like, that's just kind of the standard, and everybody could sing, and you had so many. So even if you were a great singer, you needed the material and everything else and the label backing to match, because you were in a pool of people that could sing. So you got, what separates you from everybody else. Like, man, I am not even talking about that submarine tonight. Nope. I will save it for the next live. Um, let's see. Now I'm like wide awake. I'm supposed to be going to sleep, y'all. But Avocado Queen is ready. She said, you said no heavy topics tonight, but I'm here for it as always. We will save it for the next live. I want some happy energy tonight. I got to jump into the work week. Plus, I've been gone for like 2.5 weeks from the channel. So I got to come out with some warm energy before we come out here shaking the table and chewing people out. Oh, y'all still talking about Black culture. So even thinking back when I was a kid, when I lived in Italy, it would be so interesting because so my school was on the military base. So the school I went to was an American, like it was a school with like American students, because we were, if you were in the base, it was like being in America. And then if you were outside of the base, that was technically Italy. And so there was an Italian school like right down the street from the military base. And sometimes we do these partnership events, because we had what you called host nation class. That was the class you had to go to learn Italian. I think that was on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. But at one point we did something with the Italian school. I don't remember what it was called. So they had like the Italian kids come in, and it was so interesting because they were like obsessed with like me and the handful of black kids in the class, because they just thought we were the coolest things ever. Now, we couldn't speak the same language, but like they were looking at our clothes and looking at how our haircuts were. This is back when we used to have the haircuts and the parts and everything like that. They were obsessed with all of that, and were like, I'm not going to say trying to mimic it and everything, but they even like, I remember they broke us up into groups because we were going to be making gelato. We're making ice cream, right? And they broke us up into groups. So I think it was like 3 kids from my regular class, and then they take like 2 or 3 kids from the Italian class that we did the activity with and mix us up. It was like everybody was fighting to get into the groups with the black kids. Like everybody wanted to be in our groups. Like they thought we were like the coolest things. And it was kind of cool because we couldn't really speak the language. They could speak English a little bit. Our Italian was not that good. I can't remember Italian saved my life, but it was interesting to see like just what they thought of us. Now, don't be fooled. There was still a lot of racism over there, but they had saw so much like pop culture from the United States. And so this is like 1998, 99. This is the peak of Bad Boy and Diddy and Mace and the Lox and Total and Faith Evans and the shiny suits and, you know, all of that, and Master P's kind of blowing up and everything, and the No Limit Soldiers and all that. So all of those fashions and all that stuff is starting to blow up and spread, and some of it is finding its way on like the Italian radio. There was a radio station called Disco Palladio that played. It was an Italian radio station, but they would play some songs from the United States, and a lot of what they played would tend to be R&B and hip hop. Like they loved to play Ghetto Superstar. They used to play that song out. Like, I don't even know if they knew what the song was about, but they went hard with it. So this is kind of that era. So a lot of the kids were kind of like obsessed with us. Like they didn't want to be in some of the other groups. Like they were like following us. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What's up? So that culture, it spreads all over the world. That's all I'll say. Right. And mind you, I was a dork. I wasn't even one of the cool kids like that. Okay. I was some sheltered kid from Washington State. All right. And I wasn't even allowed to have name brand shoes at the time. So I was not even the cool one in the group. And they still thought I was somebody important. And I told y'all that time, it's in the podcast, when me and my mom, where were we at? We had some hotel. I think it was in Rome. And we were looking for the breakfast buffet. We were told there was a buffet that served breakfast, and it was a really, really big one. It was in the hotel we were at. And so we were looking. And I remember we walked in the room, and out of nowhere, everybody just starts clapping. I'm like, huh? What's going on? And so what had happened was Anita Baker was supposed to be performing that night. And I guess they thought my mom was Anita Baker because she had the haircut. And so, mind you, there was a piano in the room with the little breakfast thing. So they thought she was going to go over there and sing. She didn't. If I was her, I would have went up there and sang a little something just because. But yeah, they thought she was Anita Baker. I was like, okay, interesting. So yeah. Jarrell Anderson said, I think Janelle's album is really good. I got to listen to it again. Like when I put it on when I was at the gym. But I like when I go to the gym, I be in like gym mode. I'll be like concentrating because I'm working towards some stuff. So the album was cool from what I heard. It kind of all flows together. It had lots of like dancehall, Afrobeat influence and stuff in it. It's pretty cool. I got to come back to it. Now, my favorite Janelle Monáe album still is Electric Lady. I love that album. But I have to come back and double check it, listen to it again. All right, we are going to get off this thing in like 5 minutes because I need to go to bed soon. But let me read a few more comments. Oh, Nerd Lara said, who had the better tiny desk? Charlie Wilson, Babyface, or Tank? That's hard. I really, 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 really enjoyed the Babyface one. But I really liked the Charlie Wilson one. I'm not going to lie. Charlie Wilson was a lot of fun. But Taste was good too. I'm going to go with Uncle Charlie. And I'm going with Uncle Charlie because he just has songs that just take you there. Like you forget that he was on those Zapp and Rogers songs. I totally forgot that that's him on Computer Love. And I was like, dang, he won right there with that one. So yeah, that one alone. And then of course, everything with the Gap Band, like, man, Yearning for Your Love is a gem. One of my favorite songs in general. He just has too many good songs. Charlie won that one. I'm sorry. Babyface was good though. But see, I like Babyface as a producer. As a singer, he's cool, but I was never big into Babyface like as an actual singer performer. He has some songs I like, but I like his work with other artists. So that's why I would give Charlie the edge. But they were all excellent Tiny Desk performances. And Babyface was cool too because he had Avery Wilson, he had Tank singing backgrounds, he had Shantae Moore there as well. So yeah, it was good. Oh yeah, and Outstanding is a good one too. Oh, Luke James. What was Luke on? Am I mixed? I'm trying to make sure I'm not mixing up the Tiny Chats. Did Luke James sing backup on the Babyface one or the Tank one? Or are you talking about just Luke by himself? Luke was on Tanks. Yeah. Okay, I'm mixing them up. Yeah, because that was Luke and so who else was with Luke? I'm mixing these things up. I got these mixed up. Just know they was all good because they all came out like back to back to back. Yeah, Avery Wilson was a Babyface. Okay, I'm mixing them up, but they were all good. Go watch all of them, and then go watch everybody else's too while you're at it. I even like the Trina one, and you know what pisses me off? So y'all know I don't live in the same place anymore. I moved. Like my old place was right next door to the NPR building, and I used to get so mad because like I'd be like, how come I never know they're right here? Because they're just right upstairs and across the street. Like I used to like apply just to work at NPR, but now they're laying everybody off, so never mind. But man, I'm like, all these people are right down the street and I didn't know about it. Man. Thank you, Alex Martinez. Calvin, thanks for the content. It helps me when I'm feeling low. Yes, let's bring some positive energy out here. If you're feeling really down, check out the podcast. We have a new comedically hard-headed podcast episode coming out this weekend as well. So it is the continuation of year number 2 with the kids. And it's crazier than the last one. This last one pretty much just sets up this one. So just know, them kids crack me up. Stories after stories. Did you hear that BET is doing a docuseries about Rap City? What do you think they should talk about? Yeah, I saw the ad for it. Go for it. In the same way, like Rap City, definitely it was a staple in the network. Especially you're talking about all the freestyles and everything. I guess most they could do is have the host that are on there and get as many of the guests and just talk about the different experiences, I guess. Y'all know I love a good documentary. Speaking of documentaries, check out when you get a chance. The Donna Summer documentary was a good one. The Little Richard one was a pretty good one as well. Check those out when you get a chance. I'll talk about them on the next live. Let me see here. Oh, he's really good too. What's his name? The Duran. I forgot his full name. Duran. The guy that sings really, really well. Like he can just do everything. Whatever his name is. His was really good as well. Now I do wish, but he explained it on I think social media because somebody was like, "Yeah, I like your voice and stuff, but on your album you're not doing all of the vocal acrobatics." And he was saying, "Well, duh, because you saved that for the live performances." I was like, "All right, look at you going with the original way of how to do things. You know, keep it nice and cute on the album, and then give the element of surprise for the live performance, as opposed to doing everything you could possibly do in the studio, and then you can't do half of it live." All right. I said, "I Want to Be Your Man" makes me think of Love and Basketball during the prom scene. That was just on TV, I think last night or the night before. Oh, y'all being shady up in here. I'm not even about to read that. I'm not even reading that one. All right. Anyway, how are y'all up with me at 1:37? All y'all need to go to bed. East Coast, West Coast, y'all. It's only 10 o'clock. Y'all can hang a little bit longer. Man. Somebody say any man who can sing Johnny Gill's song gets my voice. Johnny has some good ones too. Fairweather Friend was my favorite Johnny song. And I just remember Showtime at the Apollo. Everybody sang my for all of 90 and 91. I feel like every male amateur night contestants saying my, like every last one of them. It's like, all right. Say, what will you be singing? I'm going to be singing Johnny Gill, my. I know the crowd at some point was like, oh. Now I ain't got nothing else y'all want to sing? And then half of them get booed off because they didn't do it right. Man. Somebody said Jill Scott, Tiny Desk would be really dope. I just saw her too. Her show was really good too. I don't know if she still has any more shows left, but I saw her at MGM about a month ago. You know, she's doing the 23rd anniversary of the Who's Jill Scott album, and that was a very good show. Very great show. Oh, so all y'all in Cali now. Okay. Somebody said, what is my favorite Nas song? Of the recent ones, Bye Baby. I used to like Coon Picnic, but I don't like it now because, you know, he has that shot at Kobe, and now Kobe ain't with us no more, so I don't like the song no more. Made You Look. Got Yourself a Gun. Of all the songs I know, don't judge. My absolute favorite though, it's Lauryn Hill on it. As he turned the corner, I think it was called It Wasn't You. Let me make sure I got the title right. I don't even think it was a release track. Let me see. Lauryn Hill. I think it was called It Wasn't You. That used to be my favorite song in high school. Yeah, Nas, It Wasn't You. That was one of my favorites. I want to say that had to be like 04, 05. What else? He got a few I like. The World Is Yours, Second Childhood. What are some other ones I really, really like? There's another one. It'll come to me later. Nas has so much music, it's hard to keep up with all of it anyway, but yeah, those are some of my favorites. You Owe Me was cool, the dance too, I guess. All right. Apollo Theater. Somebody said Rub You the Right Way was my favorite Johnny Gill song. That's my favorite to see at the concert. Like, you go to the New Edition show, that's the one I need him to go ahead and do because that's gonna wake everybody up. That's when you just get down. Like when I went to that New Edition show and they busted Rub You the Right Way out, I was in just get down. I was like, this ain't even okay. Cranking, right? Radical God said East Coast. All right. Let's see. So LL said, so is it the fault of the machine or we as consumers who support the non-talent? The challenge with that is we're in a space where the consumers, in my opinion, don't have the time to dig through the trenches of the internet to find all the good talent. And I think as you get older too, you just become a little bit more removed from the music industry anyway. You just kind of have those people that you're going to like and you kind of roll with them. You don't really have the same interest in like digging into the later acts that come out, which is why what ends up happening is the younger generations, probably like the 25 and down crowd, really like the 21 and down crowd, they kind of, are the ones who still kind of follow everything that's happening in pop culture and kind of latch on to what's new. And after you get that generational divide, then you get the people who are like 34, 35, who are far removed, right? And there's not an element of connectivity with what's current, minus a handful of acts that might have blown up. And then again, when you come from a certain era, you're already just going to kind of be kind of tied to what your standard of entertainment is. So for me, I was blessed to be alive and around during the eras of not only just Michael and Prince and Janet and Whitney and them, but even the ones from before them. Like I'm still old enough to remember seeing James Brown on an award show, or Patty's still with us, or Patty and Aretha and Gladys and all of them do something, or Little Richard show up at an award show and do something, or Natalie Cole still perform, or Tina Turner is still going on tour. Like all of that is still childhood, still old enough to remember seeing music videos from these people, right? And so that's what I grew up on. So to go from that, it can sometimes be really hard to latch on to what's super, super current, because a lot of them, and I get it, music is going to evolve, it's going to change, it's not going to always be the same thing, so different strokes for different folks, but like it gets really hard to get excited about newer acts. And then when you just see so many that get introduced that are just not anything worthwhile, you kind of just check out, and then other people who have the time and the energy to dig and latch into whatever they, get behind the artists that they get behind, and the industry again kind of just looks at whatever trends they follow, and they're going to still market and push whoever they want to push, And right now the move is you need social media clout and you need people to be talking about you before your music even comes out. So a lot of these people, we haven't even heard their music, but we know their whole personal life and know their whole backstory and know everything. Like I had no idea that Krishan girl does music. I just knew her from whatever drama she had with Blueface. So I don't know. Some of it is when they say, is it on a consumer? I don't know. I don't think it is. I just think we all have lives. We don't have the same energy we did when we were 10 or 11 and could just sit and chase videos. Like, I remember making the video and all. And so let me backtrack. Some of that as well too. The outlets for exposure are not the same. I think if you were born before 95, anything from 95 and back, if you were born before then, you got the luxury of just being oversaturated with access to not just music, but the music process as a whole. So all of the documentaries and the behind the musics and the ultrasounds and the biorhythms and before they were rock stars and the where are they nows, but you also got access to the making and putting together the work. So this is when big artists would have an album release and MTV would be like, it's Michael Jackson Day because we're releasing a Dangerous album. So all day it's nothing but Michael Jackson, or the making the video, or access granted, or, all these different shows here and there, or, oh, it's so-and-so's tour. It's the BET. We're following this artist on tour for the rest of the week. Join us. This week we're in this city. Like all of that stuff doesn't really exist anymore. And so music, pretty much, if you're not out just digging through, whatever, Spotify or something, it's hard to even find new people. I know as far as what I've done to try to catch up on the newer stuff, amen for Instagram and everything like that, but pretty much just with Spotify. When they had that R&B playlist update every week, I'd be digging through and I sit through all of them songs. A lot of them be humming Refrigerator, but every now and then I find a good one. I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm gonna add it to my playlist. I don't know. It's a different day and age. But I do think, as far as the conversation of like consumers, I think consumers show when they're not interested in something. You can look at certain people's tour numbers. They have these amazing streaming numbers, but then people will not go and see them live because they suck as performers. So I think it just depends. We were supposed to be off this at 5-10 minutes ago. Now y'all got me in my pocket. Somebody said, and this sampling resurgence is becoming the process. The thing with sampling, I don't mind sampling because as a kid of the 80s and the 90s, everybody was sampling, but I don't like lazy samples. I don't like when you just take a sample and sing over it. If you're going to take a sample, you better play with it to the point where it's a brand new something. Like I remember I kept telling y'all I could not stand that DJ Khaled and SZA song because they just took the sample from Sorry Miss Jackson and SZA just sang right over the top of the sample. I was like, y'all didn't even do anything different. This is not for me, right? I think there's a documentary on Tribe Called Quest. Watch that when you get a chance. There's another one on I want to say Organized Noise as well. But I know what the Tribe Called Quest, when they go into detail about just the way that they used to sample. And like when you listen to those early Tribe Called Quest songs, especially off the first 3 albums and the way that they would sample, like some of those songs had like, it would be one song, but it may have sampled like 12 or 13 different songs and it created a whole new song like that. Like a song like Description of a Fool is a great one, where it's just like there's all these different samples in it, but they've done so much where they've made a brand new song. It's enhanced. It has its own identity. It doesn't feel like you're just listening to a song and you just think back to the original song it's being sampled from. So I think a lot of folks have very lazy samples. Diddy's son has that one song that sampled Case Touch Me, Tease Me. I didn't like that song either because it never went anywhere. And then they kind of watered down the beat. I was like, y'all could have just played the Case song if that's what we're going to do. Like, I don't mind the sample. Like, one of my favorite artists is Janet. Like, almost all of her big hits have samples in them. Like Rhythm Nation is a sample from Sly the Family Stone. Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. She has That's the Way Love Goes is a James Brown sample. You Want This is a Diana Ross and the Supreme sample. If has a Diana Ross and the Supreme sample. What else? 24 Play has an Eddie Kendrick sample from Intimate Friends. All For You has Change sample, Glow of Love. Someone to Call My Lover has 2 samples, Gemino PD #1 and Ventura, California Highway. You know, so yeah, samples can be a great thing if you use them properly. But I think when you just take a song and just sing over it, I'm like, that's so boring to me. Um, anyway. By the way, please nobody else sample Juicy Fruit from M2May. We've heard enough of the Juicy samples. I love the song, I love all the samples, but let's pause any more sampling of that song for like the next 10 years because there's enough of them floating around. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right. All right. Um, um, somebody said awesome giving Tribe credit. Yeah, awesome. Tribe Called Quest is one of my favorite rap groups. Always been one of my favorites. I used to love Footsteps. Even when they did like the re-release and stuff, even the re-release and the remix version of Footsteps even went in. I was like, I love that group. One of my favorites. Actually, all of the Native Tongues acts, a lot of them were my favorites. So like De La Soul and all of them, Jungle Brothers, like all of that. I love all of that. That's like my early childhood. That's what my dad and stuff used to play like on the weekends. So I love all of those. I like that way of looking at it, radical. They said, I like a sample. You have to really listen closely to hear it's a sample. I like that too, especially, I will say some of these hip hop producers are really good where there's a sample you don't even know it's a sample because they've done so much to the song and manipulated it and reversed it and then changed the pitch and changed the key, changed the tempo, reversed the drum kit and everything. Like I like those kind of samples where you wouldn't have known it unless they told you. Those are good too. Um, Calvin, do I like Madonna? I rock with her. I think people give her a little too much sometimes. Her fan base gets on my nerves, but I do like Madonna. Um, yeah, I liked her Bedtime Stories album. And I said with her, the Rebel Heart album, I thought the Ghost Town song should have actually been a hit. I thought that was a really good song, but it didn't catch on. Um, all right, y'all never gonna let me go to bed. Let me see here. Mary's My Life was a sample factory though, and I think with Mary's My Life, I mean, you look at how just Mary was able to take Roy Ayers sample and make it hers. I think if you're gonna do a sample, you got to do right by it. I think the goal with a sample is to not be overpowered by the sample. The sample is supposed to just enhance the idea you already have. But if you're just singing over the sample and then the reason people even like the song is the sample and not what you put out and how you deliver, then it's just like you can just go back home. Like you can just go home. Yeah. Jay Dilla was an amazing act. Even the way he approached drum rhythms, because he sometimes would have beats where you didn't even know if it was on beat, but then it was still on a rhythm. Like that kind of stuff is dope. Do I listen to Dua Lipa? Just okay. I did like the last project. I forgot what it was called. Disco something, something with all the little dance tracks. Those are okay. I like a little high energy music. All right, folks. We are getting off of this at exactly 2 a.m. So y'all got 4 minutes. Okay. And then I'm going to bed. I do got to work in the morning. Um, Oh shoot, I gotta go to the barbershop too. Like I gotta taper these sides. Yeah, I totally forgot. Great. All right. Anyway. Oh, I have Cleo Soul's project. Yeah, I like her. Um Speaking of Mary, did you see her movie on Lifetime based off her songs? So I got rid of my cable and I have YouTube TV now, and apparently YouTube TV does not have TV One, A&E, or Lifetime. So no, I have not seen it. So I have to catch it later. Yeah, I did. The Xfinity was getting on my nerves. I was like, y'all got me paying too much for cable, so I'm gonna let this go and I'll just get YouTube TV because I don't even watch that much TV anyway. So we shifted on to YouTube TV. Somebody said, "Do you think Normani is going to drop an album in 2023? It's been so long since she said it initially was going to be released." I did read the article where she was talking about both her parents had cancer, so I think that played a role into just her rollout and stuff. I don't know what that label is doing with her. I feel like they've been trying to sabotage the girl, but I'm still rooting for her. I think there's still a lane for her. So good luck to Normani. I'd love to produce for her. Look, somebody call Normani's people up. I can make some songs for her. Yeah, them $300 cable bills, not in this house. Done with that. Okay, 2 more minutes here. Check out Gabriel Heights. Let's see. Shining Star is my high school anthem. Are you talking about Earth, Wind, and Fire? I forgot about that song. Stellar Avenger, Beautiful Stranger. That was summer of '99. That's when I moved back to America. I remember that song. Okay. That was cool. All right. Okay, Take a Bow is a gem. Love that one. Yep. All right. A Future Nostalgia. That's what it's called. All right. That's funny. My first album, the Symphonic Euphoria, initially it was supposed to be called Project Nostalgia, and then I was like, changed my mind. So I'm glad I didn't keep that title. But that was like 2017. That was years ago. All right. All right, folks. I'm going to bed. So like I said, I actually have another live plan for this week. This was unorthodox. Initially, I was gonna just do a pre-recorded review and go to bed, but I was like, man, I'm gonna have to record it and then compress it. Let me just go live and call it a day. But I guess y'all got 2 treats. So yeah, we'll do the live book club. We will meet on the 3rd. And then I need to schedule an actual Zoom party off this for just folks who want to chop it up. And yeah, like I said, I'm working on the So What Happened. So give me some time. I know y'all have been patient because y'all been asking since March. It's coming. Just know that in order for it to be good, I just can't rush and throw it out. Because listen, Mariah, they put that woman through a lot. As I'm reading, I'm like, this is like a movie in itself. Anyway, everyone stay safe, stay sane. I hope you all have a great work week or school week or whatever it is. Enjoy the summer. Stay safe because it's hot out here. So stay hydrated, drink some water, and mind your business so that you can age well. All right, y'all. Good night.